Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brew Built X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brew Built Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brew Built line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brew Built X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brew Built Conicals. You can trust Brew Built with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brew Built at morebeer.com.
Home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, beer drinkers.
Get ready for an all-new experience in information exchange and beer culture.
Your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers from around the globe
right to your home.
You're not just listening to broadcasters, it's the Brewcasters
on the Brewing Network.
I almost made Gilligan's Island our new theme song.
I was like, what was that?
Thanks to Jameel. I think it's just such a great photo that we thought we should do Gilligan's Island.
You're hot, man. You got nice legs.
Yeah, that was a good picture. I am pretty hot.
Yeah, you are.
I always wanted to be a redhead.
Yeah.
You think, Danielle?
Absolutely.
I should have been a redhead. Dave McLean's on the show with us today from Magnolia. He's running a little late. Got stuck in a little bridge traffic. I hope he gets here soon, though, because I'm drinking Corona.
I'm drinking Pabst.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what JP left in the fridge. We need
It's all his fault.
We need some good beer in here, man. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Pabst and Corona. Leaves a bad taste in my mouth, even.
Ugh.
I like the Corona, actually, especially after Barley Wine Festival yesterday.
Yeah.
I needed a light beer. It's awful gassy. There's like too much carbonation in it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tasty
It
one.
was tough.
One of the news stories I'm going to read today describes Mexico as the, I think, #1 exporter of beer to the United States.
Sure,
only behind Heineken land. Where's that?
Holland?
Yeah.
Denmark?
Denmark or something. The Netherlands? I forget. One of those places.
Somewhere north.
We got a good show for you today. Dave McLean from Magnolia is going to come in and talk to us all about cask-conditioned ales. And at the Magnolia Pub and Brewery right there in San Francisco, they keep 5 of them on tap, which really is more than you can find at almost any brew pub in the United States. Cask-conditioned ales on tap. Traditional English beer engines serving them. He has his own cask cellar, the whole bit. So we're going to talk all about that kind of stuff and possibly how we can translate that to homebrewing, too.
Nice.
Nice.
John, off the top of your head, can you just, is there... things that you add to a fermenter to make it taste cask conditioning, like you can oak age by adding oak chips, or do you have to have a cask?
You can add oak, but serve at a low carbonation level, like 4 or 6 pounds.
Okay.
B3 is going to be selling a hand pump soon.
Oh, is that
so
right?
You can have your own English ales on tap.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
No CO2 involved with the hand pump.
No, but it'll go bad, though, because you're inoculating air, so eventually it'll actually stale on you.
Oh, right.
So
you might only want to do the short kegs or the 2.5 gallons or something.
Use
so
a light
go through it.
Use a light CO2 or a nitrogen source.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. All right, so we got that going on, and then a couple of good reports coming to you today. Daniela and I are going to report on the Barley Wine Festival that we went to yesterday at the Toronado in San Francisco. Tasted a bunch of really good barley wines. And then also calling in to help us do that, we're going to have Chris Black, who actually owns Falling Rock Tap House in Denver, Colorado. Word has it that anybody who's ever been to the GABF knows the tap house, the Falling Rock Tap House.
He's a great guy.
He was cool. We hung out with him a bit last night. He's going to call in, and he's actually at the Celebrator anniversary party today, I think, down there at in Berkeley. So,
was it going on, noon to 4, or?
I don't know, or 4 to midnight, something like that.
Until it's all gone, right?
I'm not sure. JP's actually going to call in, too, and give us a report from there, and Chris is going to call in and help us talk about the barley wines that we tasted. And then, of course, I think Dave was one of the judges at the Barley Wine Fest, too. So when he gets here, we'll do a report on that kind of stuff. So I'm excited. Just a couple of good things going on in the beer world that we get to talk about here today.
Local, too.
That's right, all local stuff. And people at this festival the Toronado Festival. There were people there from all over. Chris Black, who I was just talking about, flew in from Colorado just for that thing. And lots of other people did the same. In fact, some of our listeners were out there. But I'll do a full report on that later. And some of our listeners' friends flew in from other places just for this thing, too. So
how many did you actually taste?
15?
I think it was about 15.
Yeah.
We have a list. It was about 15.
2, I'm done.
We tasted a pretty good amount. So, we'll talk to you all about that kind of stuff. It was a fun week at the BN, let's just say that, in many ways. In more ways than one.
Oh my God!
You've got mail.
Kick ass.
Nothing from Anonymous Jameel this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Darn.
Which actually makes me think that I figured out who our Anonymous Jameel is.
What is that?
Well, just the fact that we didn't get one this week really makes me think that I know who the person is now.
Why?
I don't want to spill the beans, but there's definitely some sort of connection.
You have no clue still.
No, I know. I got it nailed down. Jameel gave me like a hint last week, which I wish he hadn't done. But between that hint and then that I didn't get one this week, and I'm not saying I think it's Jameel. I'm just saying between those two hints, I think I figured out who Anonymous Jameel is. And I'll tell you what, you're a sissy ass for not sending in one this week, buddy. Just when things were getting rolling. Last week's was great.
So Jameel gave you a hint who Jameel is.
Yeah.
And you figured out who Jameel is.
Weird.
That's damn good.
That's very strange. But I did get a few other pieces of feedback in the mail this week, and I thought we'd discuss those. One of them is, hey, how do I get those two shows, Lunch Meat and The Jameel Show, into iTunes so I will get them every time? I think I discussed this, but I'll talk about it again just in case.
And I'm happy to hear it again, too, because I have no clue.
Well, I'm working on getting those shows into a podcast format. The problem is I can't use the same engine I'm using with this show. Because, for one, if I put them all up as the same podcast, then people who didn't subscribe to those things would get all the other shows.
Okay.
And I don't want people to get shows they didn't subscribe to.
Of course not.
Even though they're both just brilliant shows and everybody should hear them. I don't want anybody getting what they're not supposed to. So I can't load it up on the same one. If I put them up on my current podcast publisher as their own show, iTunes won't accept them because they're too similar in name to the current show.
Wow.
All sorts of weird technical issues. So, long story short is that a new engine is being built for us so that each show will have its own podcast. You can subscribe to them individually, choose which ones you want. It's being worked on now. I'm hoping the guy will be done sometime this week.
Oh, that's great.
So there you go. Everybody will be able to get their individual podcast. And Dave has just joined us in the studio. How are you, Dave?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. Glad you made it.
Nice to be here.
Making friends with the radio mascot there already, I see, the dog. Nice work. Did you go to the Barley Wine Festival yesterday?
I did.
You did? Okay. I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit later because I got a little report to do and thought maybe you could help me out. Did you do some judging there?
I didn't.
You did?
Just went and sampled the wares.
Okay, gotcha. All right, we're going to get that in a little bit and we'll talk all about it. Welcome, Dave. Another one we got here, let's see. Justin, love the show. When will you have more T-shirts for sale? I know you had problems moving the first bunch, but after your rant, they went away so fast that I couldn't order one fast enough.
Quite a salesman.
Yeah, quite a whiner. He says, I'll even send you a check now if you can hold one for me. And he'd be interested in a bumper sticker and a pint glass if they were available. So he wants to know, and that's Captain Kangaroo from the forum. Captain, they will be, I can't tell you when. I'm having trouble finding somebody who can handle our logo. The one guy with the shirts that I sold you guys took him 200 shirts to get the 45 right that I sold to you.
That's a bad percentage.
So, I'm not going to do that again. So just hang in there. I'm working with some people. I'm hoping new merch will be available in a couple weeks. And you won't have to send me a check early because we're going to order enough stuff for everybody. It won't be a problem.
When's the calendar coming out?
Yeah, I'm going to work on that.
What calendar?
We got a couple different calendars. The calendar of you, Daniela. That's what everybody's asking for.
That's for personal use only.
Yeah.
I'll sign it for you, John.
That's an internal document. We are going to, I think, do a calendar. You guys have been so funny and so creative in the forum with pictures of us and pictures of each other and all that we figured we'd do a 12-month calendar of those pictures. And in, like, BN style, we'll probably start the calendar, like, the first month of the calendar will be, like, June.
Why not? It's our first birthday
that's
anyway.
Right. Our calendar goes from June to June.
Yeah.
You know? So, that's what I think we're going to do, have those calendars available to you.
It'll take 4 months to get them, so.
Yeah. Problem is, I know that some of those pictures you don't want to see hanging on your wall, but we're going to put them there anyway. So hopefully in the new load of merch,
right
you
in
get
your home brewery.
That's awesome. Especially Jamil's work has improved a lot recently on those pics.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm pretty sure Jamil got fired or something. He's
a secretive guy, I'll tell you that.
Just sitting around doing Photoshop all day, that guy. Good pics, though. Did you see the one he put up at a lunch meet show?
Oh, my God. I laughed for 10 minutes. And it's so true.
I want to make a T-shirt out of that, but I don't think anyone's going to wear them.
No.
I will.
It's like me bending over in front of JP. It's terrible.
Fishing together.
Funny as hell, though. All right. Hey, last one's actually about you and Magnolia, Dave. I got an email about you. You haven't even done the show yet.
Nice.
Says, hey, everyone, until my wife and I won a gift certificate to Magnolia Pub, we had never heard of it. When we went there, we were very impressed. They had 4 cask ales on tap, and we had to try them all. Good work. As well as the non-cast versions. We were stunned. Great beer. And then he's got a few questions for you that I'll throw in later when we do the full interview with you. That's a good word already.
Yeah.
Never went there.
It.
Yeah.
That's nice to hear.
Took a little free pass for him to get there, but that's cool. Good things there.
Whatever works.
And then and then about us, John and Danielle, it says, thanks for being such an amazingly great brewing resource.
Nice.
He obviously hasn't listened to the last 2 shows.
I actually met the guy who wrote that email.
Oh, is that right?
He was reciting quotes from our previous shows.
That's great.
I was like, whoa.
I'll tell you, I got some, the guys in the chat room this morning during the Blue Show, they must have been drunk. In fact, I know they were drunk. They were drinking bourbon and whiskey. But they were actually saying good things about us during the thing where they're usually just making fun of me the whole show.
Nice.
But Gucci, out of New Jersey there, won a couple of prizes in a brew competition. Says it was all due to the tips he's gotten from this show.
Wow.
And I really apologize, I don't remember the name. Spider, who's I think Rob in our forum. I think that's who he said. Won 2 first places.
Wow.
And he said the same thing. It was because his brewing has improved due to the show.
Wow, that's like the best compliment we can receive.
Yeah.
I know Gary Foster placed twice, too, in a couple competitions.
Did he
Scottish
attribute that
60
to us?
shilling? Of course he did.
Nice, see? Making award-winning beer happen over here. Okay, so enough of the nice ones. Here you go. Justin, weak, JP, too cheap to buy a name, and Dr. Scott freaking out. I think he didn't know how to make fun of you, John, so he didn't put a little making fun of you in there. He just said it, John.
I just stay quiet.
Yeah, and quiet John. I've been listening to your podcast for about 3 weeks, trying to catch up, and finally listened to my first live show last week. Of course, we were brewing, so I missed most of it. He says he'll listen to the archive. Big Dog is his buddy, and I are the northernmost listeners, at least according to our Frapper map, because they're in Alaska. So he says there are most northern listeners. You can go to our Frapper map through the forum. Click on the Beer Radio link, and then it's the first link at the top of that thread. And you can put yourself on the map there. In fact, Dave, I would encourage you to do the same. A lot of our guests put on there. People just like to look through and see where people are from. So do that. Go to our Frapper map. Put yourself on the map. So he says, yeah, there are northernmost. Big Dog and they live next door to each other. The next time I complain about the weather, he says, think about this. 2 weeks ago, it was 50 below.
Wow.
Fucking 50 below, he repeats. Need I say more? You pussies, not you, Daniela.
It was like 45 degrees above zero today.
Yeah, it's nice out there today. 50 below. Man. He says, I live in a property that was homesteaded in the 60s, and my landlord, which is Big Dog in the chat room, is a cool guy that got him back into brewing and turned him on to our show. Thank you, Big Dog. Another guy I work with lives here, too, and they all live in a cluster of cabins on a ridge. The music is perfect in the background for this. It's sounding a little inbred to me. Yeah. So they brew weekly together, mostly mini mash, and they've gotten pretty damn good. At least that's what we'll tell each other when we're 4 to 5 bombers into a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. When we aren't brewing, we snowmobile miles into the backcountry, drink beer, and chase moose around. I hope that's all you do with the moose in the backcountry.
Chase moose around. Really?
Says, your show rocks. Almost rocks my face off. Heard that on your show, and I laughed so hard a little pee came out. Here's the good part. Says, I want Dr. Scott to be my dentist. But only if we can both drink beer. I'll even let him lie in the chair while I pull his teeth. Does he do house calls? I'll show you a hell of a time if you come to Alaska. Slur on, my drunk brother. That's all good stuff. Poor Dr. Scott isn't even here today.
Yeah. What? Now I'm on again? Okay, good.
But luckily I got the Dr. Scott soundboard.
The Cyber Scott.
Yeah, we'll put on Cyber Scott the whole time.
You bastard. Don't make me come over there and bitch slap you.
Anyway, he wraps up the email saying he's pissed that he didn't get to listen while we were giving away a keg system. He says we would have given him one on principle because he's been brewing on and off for 13 years and has always bottled.
Wow.
He says, dudes, I need a kegging system. Please give another one away sometime soon. Or anything else cool a home brewer might want. And there you go.
A lot of bottling.
Yeah, that is 13 years of bottling. Man, I would have quit a long time ago. I'll tell you that.
No hate mail?
No hate mail. He ends it by saying, did I mention I'm drunk and it's only Tuesday night? Valentine's Day. That boy. Way to celebrate that.
I love you, honey.
Did you have a nice Valentine's Day, John?
I don't really celebrate it, actually.
No, you either?
No.
Yeah, we didn't either.
Okay, good.
We didn't do anything. Dave, you?
I did have a nice Valentine's Day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Celebrate with you. Are you married?
I have a partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And you had a nice little celebration?
We did. We went out to dinner.
All right. Where'd you go?
We went to Fifth Floor in San Francisco.
Ooh.
What's that?
Good
You know the place?
choice.
It's nice, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What type of food?
Kind of French California.
Oh.
It's one of the best in the city, actually, supposed to be.
It was delicious.
We can't afford, but it's good.
Good for a
Nice.
special occasion.
Yeah, exactly. That's a
Very
once-a-year one right there. Dr. Scott's actually, like I said, not with us. He's out on his anniversary deal. And the funny thing about that is, his wife tells him, it's our anniversary this Sunday. And the first thing he says is, so does that mean I can't do the show?
That's dedication.
Yeah, and she's like, no, you can't, jackass. And so they're away for the weekend and doing some nice stuff. Although he said he's going to try to call, which I told him he didn't have to do. I was like, man, it's your anniversary. The phone's ringing now. Who knows? That could be Doc right there already. So there you go. That's the feedback. And no Doc today, but like we said,
Cyberdoc.
We'll make Cyberdoc here all day.
We'll get sucked into it, blah, 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 and I'll get sucked into it.
We'll just have him randomly jump in there. All right, a couple of good news stories we got for you today. This is a funny one between a couple of the big guys, Miller Brewing Company and Anheuser-Busch. I found this in the news today. Miller Brewing Company put its paint scheme where its mouth is Friday, challenging Budweiser to a bet for the 2006 Nextel Cup season, which is NASCAR, by the way, for those of you who don't watch NASCAR. And what do they want to do? They said Tom Long, chief marketing officer to Miller, sent a letter to Anheuser-Busch offering to wager that Kurt Busch, driving the number 2 Dodge, sponsored by Miller, will finish ahead of Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the number 8 Budweiser Chevrolet in the point standings. The stakes? The loser would change his paint scheme to the winning brand's colors for one Nextel Cup points race in 2007, which I think is really cool. It's funny, Miller gave its rival until the till the start of Sunday's Daytona 500, which is today, to accept. Anheuser-Busch had no official comment as of late Friday, but Earnhardt Jr., who drives the Anheuser-Busch car, says, "This is a joke, right? I'm focused on the season and winning races, so I'm not interested in a stunt like this. I'm the Bud guy, and this deal is something dreamed up by the guys in Milwaukee to create something out of nothing."
Publicity.
What a tight ass, though.
Yeah, he is.
Do the race. I mean, go take the bet.
Drive a car, man.
I have to try to win. I will not have any fun. So Miller did not get their bet taken up on, which to me makes AB look like a couple of sissies. Or at least their driver, anyway.
He's a sissy.
Yeah, he's definitely a sissy. All right, moving on in the news. This is an interesting story that Guinness is releasing a beer that is a light version of their Guinness. Light in alcohol, that is, not light in calories or anything else. But Guinness is already light in alcohol, right? Like it's a 4.2% beer, I think. It's right around, it says in here, we'll find out. But Guinness is to start trialing a new low-alcohol version of Ireland's most famous beer, a mid-strength stout with an alcohol volume of just 2.8%. It must be like making it to sell in Utah or something.
Yeah, well, what's the point?
Yeah, it says a conventional pint of Guinness has an ABV of 4.2. But Guinness insists that the new mid-strength, they call it, version will have the same distinctive taste, texture, and unmistakable look as a regular pint of the black stuff. Guinness is spearheading the development of the new low-alcohol stout, which will be marketed in 80 Limerick pubs beginning in March for 6 months. If it goes down well, Guinness will assess the potential for a national rollout.
You know why they're doing that, right?
Why?
Because they consume so much beer in Ireland.
They need to lighten up a little bit?
Yeah.
But, 4.2%, that's a low beer. If you ask me, right, that's a right in the bud range and all those, you know. That's a
2 or 3 beers. You probably have a buzz. And
maybe 5 or 6.
It's
It's a
good.
session beer.
Yeah.
Aside from like the consistency of it and how thick it is to drink, alcohol content wise, I'm calling that session. What's the official definition of a session beer? Alcohol content, you guys know?
It's got to be 4 or 5 or less.
Yeah, it's like right in the 3 to 4.5 or something, right? So
they're below session.
They're below session. Well, their new one will be certainly below session. Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting thing. And finally, just a little news for the Canadians. Canadians are exporting much more beer to the United States than we are there. They're running a healthy trade surplus with the United States in beer, and it's getting bitter. Statistics Canada says the Suds surplus has expanded greatly in recent years as Canadian beer makers have made significant headway in the American market. Canadians' beer trade surplus with the U.S. hit $265 million in 2003, the most recent annual figures that are available, which is a $43 million increase from 1999. And that was after basically the Canada-U.S. free trade agreement was enacted. But they're not taking any, we're not distributing anything back there. There's hardly any growth. It says the increase in Canadian beer exports have far exceeded the slight rise in American beer imported to Canada, resulting in the beer trade surplus.
Well, you tried it. What do you think of it?
Canadian beer?
Yeah.
I like Canadian craft brew, the ones that I had. I had a few good ones.
Is that being exported there?
I don't know. The report didn't say. My guess is that most of this doesn't have to do with Canadian craft brewers because they're small like our guys here, and which is why our guys here don't, distribute too much to Canada. The big guys out there, it's the same as our big guys.
Sure.
There's no difference. It's all the same kind of beer. It's light and consistent. That's basically what you got. So, Dave, did you bring us beer today?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh,
that's what I was.
We're going to be
dagger.
We're going all Pabst and Corona today.
The traffic got me.
I did it.
Yeah.
I got stuck in that. It got me yesterday trying to get out there. It's even weekends here, traffic can get bad. It's terrible. Construction on the bridge and
it's the construction.
Gotcha. And we're keeping you from a nice celebration in Berkeley today too, aren't we? You're supposed to be at the Celebrator thing?
Celebrator party. I might swing by there after this.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
See, you'll still get a little buzz on after you leave here. You'll be doing all right. All right, that's the news today. I've left JP, I think, hanging on the phone for a while. Is that who's waiting for me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right. Hey, JP, you still there?
Hey, what's up, friend?
Sorry I left you on hold. Was in the middle of the news, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, you down there at the Celebrator Festival or what?
Yes, sir.
And what's it looking like? A lot of people?
Yeah, you know what? There are a lot of people. A lot of my most favorite thing in the world to do and watch and to come to these friggin' things is white people over 40 dancing to jazz.
Oh, that is fun in itself.
Blues and crap. It's my favorite thing in the world because it's like no wonder black people hate white people. You know?
What? They do?
They can't dance.
I didn't know that was the case, but I guess maybe
they have this guy dancing in place, and he's just like scooting in baby steps backwards, and he's dancing, and it's the most annoying thing I've ever seen. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Now, that's actually giving a description of himself, I'm sure, him and his buddies. So what is this, what's the festival you're at exactly? It's a birthday party for Celebrator?
Yeah, it's for the Celebrator Beer News. It's their 18th anniversary, and it's at the Trumer Brewery.
Okay.
And in Berkeley, and it's pretty cool, dude. There's 15 breweries here, and it's $35 to get in, and then it's all you can drink.
Oh.
And they give you half pint tasters.
That's not bad.
And free food, and it's a great deal.
Yeah, that is good. And it's not invitation only, huh?
No, it's open to the public.
Wow, that's how you got
happening
it.
right now, and there's a bunch of people like Christians here from Triple Rock, and I saw Vinny and a bunch of people are here, so it's a lot of fun, dude.
All right, that sounds good. And what's the best beer you've tried there so far? The Trumer Pils?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
The best beer I think would probably, I'm actually sipping on that Sierra Nevada IPA that they got distributing right now, and it's not that bad.
Is that right?
I will say that.
That's a hefty IPA. Have you had that, John?
I've never tried it, no.
Dave, you had it?
I haven't tried it yet, no.
It's a real hefty one, and, it's like a thick body to it, and a hell of a lot of hops in that IPA, too. Would you call it a double IPA, JP?
No.
No? I would. I think it's strong enough to be. It's pretty bitter.
Yeah, it's pretty. It does have a nice malt quality to it. Are
you having it on tap?
It's good. What's that?
You having it on tap or in a bottle?
in a bottle, so maybe it's a little better on tap. But yeah, it's cool, and
Yeah, I'd be curious.
So, yeah, just hanging out in Berkeley, my friend.
Very nice. I'd be curious if they, how they do the pale ale different in a bottle than they do on tap.
I'm sure.
I wonder if that's all their beers, if they do the same with the IPA. I had it on tap. That's when I had it.
Got to get them in here.
Yeah, got to ask them about it.
It's bottles are usually different for some reason. Beer in a bottle, they always taste different than beer on tap for some reason.
Absolutely. Hey, you got Chris Black there too? Have you seen him?
Yeah, I have seen him. I met him. I'm actually watching him go into a porta potty, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that's great. All right, hey, we're going to take a break and drop you off the line. Do me a favor, have Chris call us.
Yes, sir.
Tell him his time has come. He needs to help me do the Barley Wine Fest report.
I will. I will do that, and I will finish getting drunk for you guys.
I appreciate it, and then maybe you can call back and be our official drunk of the week.
What time? Because I don't know that.
I'll tell you what, if you can remember to do it, that's probably right about the right time.
Fucking perfect.
All right, thanks. Thanks, JP.
Hey, party on.
All right.
Party on.
JP calling from the Celebrator Festival. I thought it was invite only. I was all depressed that we didn't get invited, John.
Yeah, you really were depressed.
I kept
posted on their front door at B3.
Oh, it was?
You kept talking to me about it. Oh, such a great industry festival, and you're not there. And I said, well, but it's our first year. I tried to, make him happy again. Well, but still.
Because Danielle was like, how come you guys aren't going to that? I was like, we're not invited.
Did you call or anything?
No, I didn't ask.
Actually, I said, how come I am not going?
Oh, right. I'm sure you would have been invited. But I guess it wasn't an invite thing anyway. All right, we're going to take a quick break, about 3 minutes. We'll be right back. We're here with Dave McLean from Magnolia Brew Pub, and we're going to talk all about cask conditioned ales when we get back.
The Brewing Network, saving your life, one beer at a time.
Gucci forced me to play this intro for him today.
This one here?
Yeah, this one here. He said, make sure you play the Oi Oi intro during the show today. He's passed out by now.
He's all angry right now in the chat room.
I know, because he's drinking bourbon and whiskey all day. I told him in the chat room this morning during the Blue Show, I was like, you got angry whiskey voice going on right now, and I can't even hear you. You're typing it. And so I'm sure he is angry. What's he yelling about over there?
About the Tenacious D song you just played.
And
now he's saying, oi, 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 oi.
Hey, Chris, are you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Chris Black from Falling Rock Tap House in Denver, Colorado is joining us to help me do a little segment on barley wine. Did you have a good time yesterday?
I had a ball yesterday.
Are you having a good time today?
I'm doing pretty darn good today. I'm hanging out here at the Celebrator Beer News Party. I got here a few minutes ago, had a couple of beers, had a little something to nosh on.
Very nice. And did you wake up today with a barley wine hangover, or did that German food do you right?
Yeah, that stuff did me right, man. That was some good padding. That really kind of coated the whole system, made it all work out a whole lot better.
Yeah. We went to a restaurant in the city called Soup and Cookie, which is Daniela, and am I allowed to use this quote, Daniela?
No.
Come on, it's a good one. Daniela said it's the best German food she's ever had. Like in Germany and out of Germany.
Well, that must have been my homesickness, and after a year, the first time German food and stuff, but it's pretty damn good, the food there.
It is, it's great.
Yeah, they do a good job there. Yeah, that was excellent.
And they have some nice beers on tap as well.
Yeah, tons of good. We were drinking a nice Kolsch last night.
That was hitting the spot after all the barley wines.
Exactly, yeah. We were drinking oil all day, and then we hit the Kolsch, and that was just perfect. Perfect.
Feel like an Alka-Seltzer after a heavy meal, you know?
Yeah, it's like the same thing. You're right. All right, so what we're talking about here, Chris, and you folks at home, the Toronado, which is just a great a pub in San Francisco. It's on Haight Street, right along with Magnolia's on Haight Street also. They do this great barley wine festival every year, and they just get tons of entries. I think that this year there were 50 different barley wines. Wow. On tap. All of them on tap.
On tap.
Yeah. 50
all
different ones.
All at the same time.
All at the same, unbelievable amount of barley wine on tap.
Where they store it?
You know what? I talked to the guy who does it. He says that they have a tough time, for one, They've got 2 different walk-ins that are just full, and he said it's a real pain in the arse. They even have a room that's usually like a storage room that once a year, come to Barley Wine Fest, they got to clear it out just to make room for people in the storage room.
Wow.
And then kegs all over, and it's full. It's I mean, can you imagine 50 barley wines on tap? What a festival! So
yeah, I mean it's nuts. This is like the 4th time I've done it, and it's just been a lot of fun. I mean, for him to like all of a sudden clear out all of his taps, and switch them over to one thing. Amazing. It's just off the hook.
It is, and just a lot of work. But people love it. I mean, the place was packed yesterday, and it goes on all week. So if you are in the Bay Area, you can still make it. It wasn't only yesterday. It goes on all week long. That was just opening day. So here's what I'd like to do, Chris. I'm going to go ahead and mention a few of the ones that I liked. You can chime in if you happen to have tasted those also. And feel free to mention any of the ones that you enjoyed while you were there, too.
Absolutely.
Okay. Of course, right off the top, I'm going to mention Magnolias, because I did try yours while I was there, Dave. And I'm mentioning it because just as good as the beer was, the name is even better.
Oh, the name is great.
Magnolia's barley wine is called Old Thunder Pussy.
Yeah.
And, oh, man, what a good one this was. And I just looked at it, and I think even before I saw Magnolia, Dave, I saw Old Thunder Pussy, and I said, well, we got to order that one. I'm just a sick bastard like that, and I said, that's the one we got to have.
It stands out.
What's that, 11%?
It's 11.9 this year.
Is it really?
Just about
almost 12%.
How long has it been aged?
This was made in September.
Okay.
Wow, so half a year.
Not too long. All right, here's a couple of things I wrote down about this one. A really strong phenolic flavor going in there. Lots of phenols in this one. And obviously at 11,
totally.
Right? And at 11.9%, I guess it's going to happen. But at the same time, it has a real fruity, I think, malt background that makes it okay. You know, I don't want a pint of it. I ordered the small glass of that one, and I think that's because of the phenols. I wouldn't want a pint. But in the small glass, it was real nice. And now tell me if I'm wrong about this, because I want your impression too. The fruitiness I got was kind of a grape, like a grape juice fruitiness almost. What do you think? Am I way off with that?
I don't think you're that far off.
No?
I mean, I get a kind of a raisin-y quality, raisin grape.
Yeah,
you know.
Definitely a little raisin in there, too. In fact, quite a few of the barley ones.
That was going to be my comment, was going to be kind of a little bit of raisiny. It was really nice.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good one, and selling a lot of it. A lot of people around me were having that one, too. Okay, Daniela, let's do this one because you loved this one. Russian River. They had old gobbledygooch there, or gobbledygotch. I don't know which one it is. Gibbledygotch. There you go. Thanks very much. And that one was listed at 10%. And the interesting thing about this one is that it tasted like olives.
Smelled and tasted like olives so strongly.
Yeah. What'd you think of that one, Chris?
I always love Vinny's beers and everything like that, and so I'm sitting here and I really like his beers, and very inventive, very creative.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've never tasted a beer that had olive flavors in it before. And that one, yeah, Danielle's right. You could really smell it, just the aroma even. And that was your favorite of the day, right, Danielle?
That was my favorite of the day.
She finished that one.
I wonder what contributes to that flavor, you know.
Me too. But it was really, if you would open a can of olives, it was really a very, very intense smell.
It's a good question. He was there, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him. But I don't know what would add that olive flavor. Maybe?
I wonder if a long boil, like a 2-hour boil, just caramelize the crap out of your beer, you know.
I don't know.
Tweaks with the sugars. I don't know.
It was good, though. That was one of the most distinctive flavors of the day. There was another one there that was a pumpkin barley wine, and that was the other one with a real distinctive flavor.
I had that.
What'd you think of that one?
I like that a lot.
A lot of people were raving about that one, and the deal was because you could taste the pumpkin, but it wasn't overbearing like a pumpkin ale.
It was subtle.
Yeah. In fact, I gave it to a couple of people who didn't know what it was. I said, tell me, I knew because I read it off the stupid list, but I handed it to somebody and I said, tell me what you taste in this. And of 3 people that were right there, nobody could name pumpkin. Not until after I said it's pumpkin, and then you can go back and you can go, oh yeah.
Is it an aroma or a flavor?
Definitely flavor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that was an interesting one. Now, Chris, have you ever had the Anchor Old Foghorn?
Oh, that's been one of my standard taps since the day I opened the bar 9 years ago.
Gotcha. Okay. This was
we always have that one. It's yummy.
It is a yummy one, and Anchor makes good beer anyway. But this barley wine was real nice. Here's what I thought was interesting.
I think this batch was just spectacular, too.
Yeah, it was a good batch. But it has one thing going on with it that, and maybe it's just kind of the normal for the Old Foghorn, but it has such a strong caramel backbone, really malty, that it almost tastes like an extract beer. It almost tastes like they use extract instead of regular malt. I'm sure they don't, but that's really, it was so caramelly that's what I got out of it.
A lot of crystal malt, probably.
Yeah.
Well, also, they use a really long boil time on their beers in general, too.
That's what I was thinking, because they have the caramelization of the wort going on, and that must be what that extract flavor's coming from.
I believe I was talking with Bruce Joseph there, and he would say it was about a 2.5 or so hour boil.
Wow.
That's a lot of evaporation.
Now, do you normally boil a barley wine longer anyway? Or like for you, for example, Dave, or is it just a normal brew process?
We give it a long boil.
You do?
Yeah. Both for the caramelization of sugar and just sometimes to get the gravity that we need too.
Oh, okay.
Because we're running so much grain through there, and it's just...
Sure.
You kind of need to... I think this one had a 3-hour boil.
Holy smoke, really? Okay. All right. Good to know. Good to know. Rogue, just real short. Rogue's Old Crustacean, old favorite. Everybody loves it. Real strong and bitter. And that's not a bad thing. But those are the main things about that beer. I think it just was real strong and real bitter, but a good beer.
Adds a lot of hops.
I'm trying to remember what year was the Old Crusty this year.
Yeah, I don't remember, and it's not on the list here either.
Yeah, I didn't say it on the... I have a keg on right now at the bar that's a 2003, and it still was outrageously hoppy.
Really? Yeah, this one, 120 IBUs, it says.
Yeah, that's to start with.
Yeah. And 26 Plato. So I don't know what that is for ABV.
Yeah.
In the 9% range?
Over 1.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. All right, so in the 10. Okay,
10%.
Right around 10. All right. Okay, here's one that was really interesting. Half Moon Bay, small brew pub out there, Half Moon Bay Brewery. They've had one called Moon Glow. Did you have this one, Chris?
No, that was one of the few that I didn't get to.
All right, Moon Glow was real interesting because it had a ton of residual sugar left. When you drank this one, you could actually still feel sugar in your mouth, kind of like cotton candy. And Daniela thought it even tasted like cotton candy when we had that one. You liked it, though, because it was real sweet.
It was real sweet, yeah. But it's also like hangover beer.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it tasted like a hangover waiting to happen. Because the more sugar, right, the more of your hangovers could be. And it just I don't know if he intended to not ferment it out or what the deal was.
Yeah.
Or couldn't. Yeah. Maybe it started with such a high gravity, right? Mm-hmm. But you really could taste the sugars left in it. More than just sweet, you could taste the sugar.
It's hard to drink a lot of that.
Yeah. All right, that's about it. Oh, I had El Toro Yo.
You tried out, how was it?
That was nice.
Yeah, that one was real nice.
Cool.
That one, I would say, is borderline barley wine triple IPA kind of a beer.
Hoppy, too, then.
Hoppy, but it was a real smooth hop character and well-balanced. Do you have that one, Chris?
Yeah, that was a really tasty one.
Yeah,
he's a good brewer.
Yeah, the other one I like, I was really glad to see that the guys up in Anchorage at Midnight Sun won the contest with what I would consider to be a pretty balanced barley wine.
Which one was that? Do you remember?
The Midnight Sun one. I'm trying to remember the name that they called it.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at too.
That won first prize. I thought that was one of the nicest beers that I had, but there's no way it's going to win.
Oh, right.
Because usually the winners tend to be a little bit hoppier than that, but this one was just so balanced.
Yeah. Okay, Arctic Devil, that's what it was called.
Yeah, that was it.
10% ABV. It's been aged for a year, and also in oak. So it had a strong oak flavor to it, too. I didn't have that one, though. But that's the one that won, huh, Chris?
Yeah, that's the one that won first place, and it was pretty mind-blowing.
How about second place, you remember?
Ooh. I think that was Big Sky.
Gosh.
Oh, was that the Big Sky one?
I think so.
I think I had that one.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah, it was the one out of Montana.
Yeah, that's right. And that one was real nice. I had that one also. All right. Mm-hmm. I want to end by mentioning 2 beers that weren't on tap. They're just on the normal Toronado beer list, which, by the way, they have like 90-something brands of beer in a bottle that you can get there on any given day.
Right, yeah.
So I was hanging out with a couple of real nice guys. They're always good to us. Sean from 21st Amendment was there. I was hanging out with some people from Stone, and they were just being real cool to us and bought some bottles there that weren't on the menu. A J.W. Lee. Do you know this beer, Dave, I'm talking about? It's a straight-up English barley wine, right? Traditional.
Awesome.
I had a few of those yesterday as well.
You did?
Yeah.
All right, this vintage was 1989 that these guys bought. We're talking like a $15 12-ounce bottle of beer here. And it was, hands down, the best barley wine I've ever had. You know. And now, I think it's important to note that American barley wine and traditional English barley wine are almost 2 different styles of beer, if you ask me. I mean, they're obviously in the same genre, and you go for the same thing, but ours are just very different here. And for one, typically you're not going to find a barley wine here that's aged for that long. There hasn't been a popular style for us for too long, like it has been in England. You may find some. But the other thing is then, especially on the West Coast, we hop the shit out of our barley wines just like we do everything
absolutely.
else. And
God bless them.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the English styles, you really don't get a hop flavor. It's, you're getting a little Kent Goldings and a heck of a lot of malt.
All malt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, this one from 89, I think obviously because of its age, had a real musty, kind of a basement flavor to it, right? Which sounds like a terrible thing to say about a beer.
Was it corked?
No.
It was in a bottle.
It was in a bottle.
Okay.
But it was great.
Wow.
I mean, it was so complex that I don't even really know where to begin to tell you what it tasted like other than that musty and a sweet flavor with some Kent Goldings.
Like you get kind of like a Gewürztraminer. Oh God, we got the train going by.
Sounds like, was that BART train going by you there?
Oh yeah.
Chris just got run over in Berkeley, folks. Thanks for the report.
Okay, there it is. So it's gone now.
Okay. So this
one. Yeah, what I was going to say is I've had some casks of that.
Oh, okay.
Because once a year they'll send over wooden casks of the JWLEs.
Oh man, that would be great.
That they've primed the wood with various things like port or sherry or Lagavulin Scotch or things like that.
That is great.
Yeah, I'm going to have some
of those. And they're just like drinking honey with all these other notes on them.
A strong raisin one in that one too. The one I was drinking, get a real raisiny flavor there. You're going to have some cask of that at Magnolia, too?
Yeah, one of each. They got the 3, the port, or sherry, I guess, and there's a whiskey barrel one, and I'm not sure what the third one is.
Do you know when that's going to be happening?
I think Chris might know, too. We're probably getting something from the same shipment. Sometime in early March, I believe.
All right. Is that when you
usually around the 1st of March.
Okay. How many casks do you guys keep at Falling Rock, Chris?
We usually get about 1 a year.
Okay. But how many cask ales on tap at any given time?
Oh, we have 2.
2, okay. Very nice. All right, and then another one, just a brief mention, also out of a bottle, another straight English traditional, was Hardy's. Hardy's Ale I got out of them. And that was a 1996 vintage. Daniela, you tasted that one.
Year.
Yeah.
Was that the first or the second one we tried?
That was the first one.
Oh, okay.
Great beer. And again, with the same, it was just so complex. And I'll tell you what, this is how complex that beer was for me. Y'all know that I don't have the greatest palate on the planet. I didn't even start writing notes. I didn't write any notes. I just wrote the name of the thing down and the vintage.
Can you even describe it?
I wrote down the word wow, and that's it. That's all I wrote down about this beer. If you can ever get yourself a hold of any of these bottles, and especially old ones like that, do it. That's J.W. Lee, that was the first one, and Hardy's Ale. So, just awesome.
Yeah, that was some terrific stuff.
Yeah, they're good. Now, do you guys keep bottles as well out there at Falling Rock?
Oh, absolutely. We have about 130 to 150 bottles.
Attaboy.
And this year I started taking all those things that I've been saving and putting down in the cellar because we have those basement things in Colorado.
Yes.
And I started making them available. Before that, it was just, my access only. And now we've kind of started bringing them up and let people actually purchase them. We have a vintage list, and what I call is the off the beer menu.
Nice. I think every bar should have an off the beer menu.
Well, I mean, you go to a swanky white tablecloth restaurant and they have the off the wine list.
That's right. That's absolutely right. That's what a lot of these guys, I think Dave included, Vinny, it's what they're trying to do with the beer biz, is kind of, comparing it to the same thing. I mean, some people would sit and listen to the show and laugh at us for talking about a vintage of a beer, but in a barley wine in particular, no way.
It keeps that
right
passion
up there.
alive, especially for microbreweries.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
the neat thing is when you have a light lager or something like that, like the industrial lagers.
Yeah.
When you get oxidation, it manifests itself as like cardboard flavors, and it's really not a pleasant thing.
Right.
But when you have like really high residual sugars and really high alcohols, it starts tasting like things like raisins, dried fruit, sherries, those kind of characteristics come out through.
Like a wine.
Yeah. And the way that it can change is unbelievable. In fact, I was standing there with someone tasting this Hardee's, right? And it was a 96, okay? And he was talking to me about how he had a 95 the day before, and they were two completely different beers. Same brand, same style, same everything. It was just 1 year later, and he said that the 95 was completely different than the 96. Yeah. And hey, that's a good point that you make, Chris. It has a lot to do with all that gravity and the way the sugars can stick around and change things in there, And like I said, that musty flavor, which sounds like a terrible thing to say about a beer, was awesome. Right. It was so good.
Characteristic, yeah.
Good. It was great. Well, Chris, I appreciate you helping us out with that.
Absolutely. I'm going to go back to drinking beer now.
Yeah, that a boy. We made you work long enough. You guys have a good time down there.
All right. Great meeting you. Y'all have a great night.
All right, you too. Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
There you go. Chris Black from Falling Rock in Denver. And like I said, the word is anybody who's ever been to the GABF knows all about Falling Rock. I don't, other than talking to Chris about it. So hopefully, I don't know, if this year, next year, whenever we make it, we'll be hanging out there too. It's a lot of beer on tap he's got too. Mm-hmm. How many beers altogether for you guys, Dave, that you have on tap, including your cask conditioned ales?
We have 12 regular beers and then 5 cask beers.
Okay. That's a lot of beer, too. And how big is your kegerator that you're keeping all those things in, then?
That's a big room down. It's half the basement.
Is it really?
The pub, yeah.
And then
there's a separate cellar for the cask at a different temperature, at cellar temperature.
Oh, okay. And is that completely unrefrigerated? It's just cellar temp?
No, it's slightly cooled. It's cooled to about 55 degrees.
Gotcha. And then the other half of the basement is your brewery, huh?
The other half's the brewery.
Gotcha.
And a tiny office.
Yeah, that's a tight space you must have down there.
It is. There's a lot of room. It's just there are very low ceilings.
Okay.
You got to duck a lot.
Yeah, wow. Imagine me on the tour down there.
I'm to a ball valve.
Yeah, exactly. I'm crawling on my knees if I ever check that out. I wanted to go look at the brewery yesterday, actually, but then Jennifer said, I think Dave's gone, so I'll do it another time. But
yeah, you should definitely come by.
And now your building, let's just get into this briefly. We're going to take a break, but what is it? It was built in, 1903?
1903, so it survived the first quake in 06.
Wow.
Which a lot of the building, that neighborhood's on pretty stable ground, so that's not saying anything too special, but it's one of the older buildings in the city.
Okay. And it's been converted several times.
Yeah, most of its life it was a pharmacy on the ground floor where we are.
Okay.
And a lot of the woodwork that you see behind the bar is the original pharmacy, the drawers where they kept the medicine.
Oh, great.
So we try to preserve as much of that. The tile floor is also from the pharmacy.
Okay.
And then it's, from that point on it was a series of cafes and restaurants, some more famous than others.
Okay. And my guess is, especially given the age and you talking about the low basement, you must have had to do a significant amount of refurb down in that basement to get it.
We did. I had several equipment manufacturers come in and shake their heads and say, you can't put our system in this basement. And,
really?
And, it was really it truly was shoehorned in. We dug out portions of the basement, lowered the floor.
Okay.
Had to pour new footings. We had to, at one point, we had the whole building floating on floor jacks.
Oh, is that right?
Crossing our fingers that there'd be no earthquake.
Yeah, absolutely. How many days did that go on?
That was about 3 weeks or so.
Oh man. My God. Yeah, you guys are praying.
Yeah, so there was a lot of digging and moving raising beams up into the joist space, and it was quite a challenge to try to fit a brewery into that space.
Now, why did you pick that space?
It's just a great location. It's a cool building. The interior of the pub itself is just fantastic with the wood and the tile. It's just a great old San Francisco space.
Gotcha.
It's Haight Street's a happening street with a lot of pedestrian traffic, and
okay.
I live in the neighborhood. Part of the model from day one was build the kind of place you'd like to hang out in.
That's a great motto right there. Yeah. Yeah. I wish we had followed that with the studio.
We're working on that one.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And you're right about Haight Street in general. The whole area is a good area. In reading the history on your website, which, by the way, you can go to magnoliapub.com. I got that right?
Mm-hmm.
Go to magnoliapub.com. Are you the web guy, the designer, and puts that stuff up there?
I am.
Okay.
Mostly.
You've done a great job. This
Thanks.
website is just cool. It's got a little bit of everything. Tons of information about beer, lots of art. At the same time, really kind of embraces the art of beer, and the culture of Haight-Ashbury is in there, and just the whole thing. And you get a little bit of everything on the website. And I really like that when you're talking about your beers on the website, you really go into detail. You don't treat the average user like they're an idiot and they don't want to know that stuff. It really appears to me that you treat everybody like they want to know the details, and that's what you give. Right down to, and we'll talk about it when we start talking about your beers, Dave goes into like his grain bed and like what the grains they like to use compared to other grains as a base malt and the whole thing. And this is just on like the beer description, and it's great. You know, and I really like that. I just thought it was real cool. So check out magnoliapub.com. One of the things I found interesting, and you can go look up at this story, but I thought maybe you'd just briefly mention it. You want to tell us how Old Thunder Pussy got its name?
There's a woman named Magnolia Thunderpussy.
Okay.
And she is probably one of the more famous tenants of the space that we occupy.
Gotcha.
She was a dancer over in North Beach in the 50s, I believe, and that was her stage name.
Okay.
And then she got out of that business and moved over to the Haight and opened a cafe in our spot.
Gotcha.
And she kept the name. She called it Magnolia Thunderpussies.
Nice.
And, it was a very brief period of time. It was only about 3 years in the late 60s into 70 or 71.
Okay.
But the vast majority of the people that come in that remember parts of the history of that building and the neighborhood, they tend to recollect her the most, and they come in and say, I remember when it was Magnolia Thunderpussies, and
yeah.
You know, they all have stories to tell. She was known for making these erotic-shaped desserts.
That's awesome.
And she delivered around the neighborhood, so you always hear anecdotes and stories of people that were 16, 18, living in a flat with 10 other people, and 3 in the morning got a bunch of Magnolia's erotic desserts delivered to their house. Munchies and...
That's great, especially because it's getting delivered by Thunder Pussy herself. I think that's brilliant.
Stripper.
I would have ordered a couple extra desserts myself. I'm not even hungry. That's great.
She was a personality. I didn't get to meet her. She passed away right as we were under construction. I was just sort of collecting the stories and finding out about her. And but she sounded like she was just a larger-than-life character in the neighborhood, and it seemed like the biggest beer we made should be the tribute to her.
Right.
And hence the Old Thunder Pussy.
And then also the name of the place itself you took from her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. That's really cool. So you weren't a frequenter of Magnolia Thunder Pussy desserts yourself?
I was not. I never got to enjoy them. I have an old menu hanging in the office, and they look interesting.
Is it a picture menu?
It's not a picture menu.
Oh, okay. Because you go to magnoliapub.com, you can read about it. There's even some short descriptions about some of her most popular desserts there. I think that's the other part that I like about how detailed you are, is that you really just give a long history of this space in general. You're really into the whole, culture of where you're at. And I think that's important and part of being a craft brewery in a local region, kind of embracing where you're at.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good to put it all out there and show people continuity.
Yeah, you do really just a good job of it.
Thanks.
So, Dave McLean from Magnolia Brewery is with us today, and when we come back, if it's okay with Dave, we're going to start talking about cask conditioned ales. And how we can do it at home, how you do it there. Already got some questions in from people. Join us in the chat room. You can also call 888-401-BEER if you have any questions for Dave about his beer or about English casks. Obviously, send them in and we'll get them right through. It's the Brewing Network. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Three Guys.
Excuse me, what about me?
Sorry. You're listening to Three Guys and One Girl use a radio show as an excuse to drink more beer. The Brewcasters
on the Brewing Network.
All right, we're back with Dave McLean from Magnolia Brew Pub in San Francisco. Magnolia Pub and Brewery, to be exact. which is just a real cool place there. And we're going to start talking about cask-conditioned ales in just a couple minutes. But we got our tasting to do first, which I forgot to mention before the break. And we thought it would be fitting getting Dave in here to do Fuller's ESB this week, which is a traditional English-style cask ale, although we're getting out of the bottle, obviously. But thought we'd do that as a nice tasting to figure out what's doing. And Dave, a bit of an expert, might be able to help us out. John, you're already tasting it. What you got going on over there?
Well, this is a complex beer. In the nose, I get a sweet caramel from a crystal, I believe, and a kind of a hint of a biscuit, almost like toast.
Yeah, and just in the aroma, that is.
Yeah, and then there's just like a little hint of an alcohol, like just alcohol aroma going on.
Yeah. Okay.
As far as in the flavor, I get a raisin. I get a lot of raisin. Just a fruity raisin going on.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is that I think it's not just a raisin. It's definitely a fruity raisin that's in there too.
And there's a subtle spice edge to it, almost a hint from I think it's maybe the hop character or something.
Yeah.
But
Dave, what do you get out of the beer there? Any of those things that he's mentioning there?
Yeah, I definitely get the caramel sweetness. Unfortunately, it's tinged a little bit with a little cardboard, a little bit of a oxidized, and that's the case with something imported that's kind of a low gravity beer.
Yeah, I would almost say a lot of cardboard even.
Yeah. I was being kind, I guess.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But that's one of the maddening things about something like an ESB or a best bidder, special bidder as a style. It's very hard for us here in America to try it, and it's the way it's meant to be.
Right.
And this beer kind of demonstrates that.
Right.
It's this is a beer that I've had on cask in England, and
totally different.
It's totally different, and it can be one of those sort of the perfect pint experiences at the right pub on the right day with the right cask. And
is that right?
And so it's definitely up there. It's definitely in the upper echelon of English bitters.
Oh, okay.
But you're not getting all of that in this case because there's definitely a cardboard quality and a little bit of the hop aroma is not quite as present as it should be.
Yeah.
But it's there, and there's still a bold malt profile that does have some kind of bready, biscuity quality to it, like you said.
I think that malt is, and particularly in the aroma, is such a strong malt. Although, as an ESB should be, the hop profile is almost non-existent in the aroma. You do taste it a little. And I wonder if that's the spice you're tasting, John, or if that's something else. What do you think, Dave?
I think it's the spice, personally, myself. Or from the hop character.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's the spiciness of the hop.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it could be a little bit of the fermentation flavor too.
Okay.
Some of the byproducts of fermentation.
Just the yeast there.
Yeah.
Now, temperature-wise, how you're drinking it here, what's the difference between the temperature we've got it, which is not quite refrigeration temperature. We've had it out a little bit.
Well, you buy it from Beverages and More. It's hard to find.
Yeah.
And it's out in room temperature.
That's how they store it there. Okay.
55, 60 in that room there.
Is this close to how you'd have it in England, temperature-wise, or is it still too cold?
No, I think this is in the ballpark.
It's right there.
You see the better pubs are able to keep their beer there in the mid-50s.
Okay.
And this tastes about like that at this point for however long it's been sitting out. Having it spend an extended period on a shelf at a 70-degree room isn't the best thing to happen to it.
Right.
Yeah, I was looking at all these beers, and I'm like, oh my God, these are going to be gone in 2 weeks. You know?
Well, as we know, it's the nature of keeping that much beer in stock for that store. And
that's true.
We've had problems with them before, but we've had this discussion before with Brian Hunt from Moonlight and things,
and Dan Gordon,
and Dan Gordon. I would hate to say, I would hate it if we couldn't get our hands on these kinds of beers, right? On the other hand, if it's not authentic, it's almost you could make the argument that it's better that you don't get your hands on it.
Absolutely, and as Dan just said, it's such a different experience if you have it in England or if you have the German beers in German or maybe some Belgian brands in Belgium. It really can manipulate and even ruin the taste of the beer, and you think, well, that's a crappy brewery, but it's not.
Yeah.
I think some of the Belgian beers travel really well.
Oh, they do?
The higher alcohol and bottle conditioned, there's some oxygen scavenging yeast in there that's possibly going to mitigate some of the negative effects.
Gotcha.
It's usually where it shows up, where the harsh travel conditions show up the most is something that like an ESB or maybe a German Pilsner that's in the 4 or 5% range.
Sure.
Do you think a fermentation can still go on in a bottle like this as it's traveled?
I doubt there's any residual sugar left that's fermentable.
Okay.
In this one.
Yeah. I just pick up hot alcohol a little bit. Just kind of.
Yeah, there's a little bit there. I'm thinking palate-wise, I think almost the entire flavor of the beer is on the back of my tongue. Almost up, like the back to the middle. There's really not a lot on the tip, not a lot on the sides. It's a really kind of a focal flavor. You know, it's nothing standing out, I guess, is what I mean on any particular part. What do you think, John? Where are you tasting it all?
I'm just so blown away by the fruit character in this beer.
Yeah.
It's just fruity. Whatever yeast they use. I don't know, burnt nail maybe, or...
Well, it's good. Highly drinkable.
Yeah.
Little cardboardy, but highly drinkable. All right. 888-401-BEER is the number if you have any questions. We're going to start talking to Dave about his beers in particular and cask condition beers with these guys. A couple of the things I had come through just from my feedback, which is around here somewhere, I'm sure. What do you guys use to actually cask condition your ales? What kind of wood? What do you put these guys in?
Well, we're putting them in stainless firkins.
Okay.
Which is pretty much the norm in England these days.
Okay.
These firkins are made over there. Firkin is just the size of a particular size of the cask.
Which is what size?
It's 9.5 British gallons, which is about 10.8 U.S. gallons.
Okay.
And so, you know, a pin, actually it's 9 gallons, and a pin is 4.5 British gallons, so a little over 5 U.S. gallons.
Okay.
So they use, you know, funny English nomenclature.
Gotcha.
Pin, firkin, kilderkin.
Okay.
To barrel and then hogshead.
Okay.
So firkins are just the sort of the standard size cask. But most of them are, with a few exceptions, most of them are stainless these days.
Okay.
But they still have that round barrel shape, which is kind of essential.
Yeah.
Especially when the beer's in stillage and it's sitting in a rack and the yeast and sediment can collect in the curved part of the barrel.
Okay. So the actual bottom is a rounded part of the bottom, or you're just talking about like sort of the corner as it's...
Well, they sit on their sides.
Okay.
You know, like a picture of barrel on its side.
Gotcha.
And there's a curved part at the bottom that collects all the dry hop that settles out as well as the yeast sediment.
Okay. And is that how, and you mentioned on your website too, part of the reason you're able to serve all your beers unfiltered? And I guess traditionally a cask ale is unfiltered anyway. But is that part of why you're able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, we use a very flocculent English yeast that does a lot of the work for us too.
Okay.
And then some of the beers we do fine, which is one of the more traditional English ways of getting yeast to settle out using isinglass finings.
Okay.
And
where do you put those in?
Those would go in usually on the rack from the fermenter into the secondary tank.
Oh, all right.
And they just bond with the yeast cells and create a larger particle that falls to the bottom faster.
Is that your serving tank, or is that just okay?
Yeah.
What about any kettle findings?
We do use kettle findings, too.
You do?
Yeah.
What do you use there, if you don't mind?
We use copper clear tablets, which is a kind of a proprietary product from one of the findings companies over in England.
Oh, okay. Is it like a seaweed type of thing like all the rest, or?
Yeah, it is, but it's not in the powdery not in the seaweed form that you see, you know, like the what was it, the
Irish moss? No,
the Irish moss, yeah.
Irish moss, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, isinglass, that's fish guts, right?
It is fish guts.
Okay.
It's the swim bladder of fish, the bladder that they take in and out air for.
I wish they just called it fish guts. You know?
Clear your beer with fish guts.
They should.
It's not a very sexy sounding phrase, but it's very traditional. You know, most of the English breweries use it.
Okay.
And it's nice because it's very specific. It works with the opposite charge of the yeast cell, so it attracts just yeast.
Mm-hmm.
So you're only pulling yeast out of solution. You're not pulling any of the proteins that may or may not contribute to flavor or body or texture.
Nice.
So sort of like it goes in a sort of more surgical fashion and pulls out just the yeast that you want to get out.
That's great. John, you can get that on a homebrew level, right?
You can buy isinglass, yeah. There's a wine that you can buy, finding agent called Boxen that actually I believe has isinglass and gelatin in it.
Oh, okay.
We never tried it on beer, but I'm curious.
All right.
I might do it myself.
Now, would gelatin be less specific than what you're talking about with the isinglass, whereas gelatin might kind of bind to a little bit of everything and pull it out?
I've never really worked with it, but I think that I'm pretty sure that it works on a electric charge level too.
Okay.
So it should probably work similarly to isinglass.
All right, I gotcha. And how long are you conditioning these guys before you're serving them?
I like to give them about a week.
Oh, okay. So now, when do you go primary and then into the cask for a week and then you serve it, or is there 3 transfers?
Most of the time there'll be a third transfer. It'll go into the serving tank.
Okay.
And then from there it'll get put into a cask.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's usually about a week in the cask, unless it's a very strong beer.
Okay.
Some of those beers just benefit from a little extra time.
All right.
Aging, and 2 or 3 of those days of that week will actually be out at room temperature or basement temperature.
Okay.
Which is a little higher, like around 60, 62 degrees, just to kind of jumpstart that second fermentation. And then from there into the cellar, that's 55 degrees.
Okay. Now, is the just 1 week of doing that, is that what you found to be ideal for your beers, flavor-wise, or is it more of a, you got to serve some beer and people are going through that stuff?
No, with the space on our stillage and the number of firkins that we have, we could go longer.
You could, okay.
But a lot of the beers that are best on cask tend to be some of the session beers and the lower gravity beers, and those beers just taste best fresh. There's not much there to support extended aging with those beers.
Gotcha.
And so really, you're helping the whole process along if you just get them to condition in a week after the week in primary, week in the cask.
Yeah.
Maybe another couple days in between there, but. That's fresh beer is fresh, fresh English bitter.
Right.
It's kind of one of those sublime experiences.
That is, that's great news for the home brewer. I think
it's good to taste it fresh too and to drink it fresh. All beers.
Yeah, sure.
You see it change.
But I think that there is apparently a common misconception that a cask ale has to sit around in the cask for a while before it becomes good.
That's true.
And I think that this kind of goes contrary to that's not necessarily true. It would depend, I guess, if maybe you're aging it in a wood barrel and you want to impart those flavors, that's a different story.
Right.
But if you're going into a firkin, a stainless steel firkin like you're talking about, you're not imparting flavors, so fresh is going to be better in that sense.
No, it's very beer specific. Things that you want to, special beers, strong beers that really benefit from aging or anything in wood. Those are the ones that we imagine and we think about sitting around for months, maybe sometimes, or at least weeks. The average 3.5-4% English bitter or an American pale ale that's going into a cask. I mean, you're looking for that. What you're looking for is that really amazing, bright, just finished, super fresh beer taste with where the dry hop is at its peak.
Gotcha.
And those things are all going to start going south pretty quickly with too much time.
And you mentioned dry hop. When are you actually dry hopping?
We dry hop the cask when we fill it. It's a
the
matter
firkin itself?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and we just grab a handful and throw it into the
whole leaf hops.
Mm-hmm.
I read that on your site that you find whole leaf hops to be more the traditional way. That they are the traditional way to dry hop a cask ale.
Yeah, they seem to be from what I've seen in England.
Okay.
The argument for pellets, which I adhere to for most of the rest of the brewery, is that the surface area to volume ratio is smaller, so you end up with a more stable product and you don't get oxidized hop flavors.
Okay.
And you preserve some of the more volatile aromas.
Yep.
But there's something that feels very traditional, whether the science supports it or not, about taking a handful of whole hops and throwing it into a cask.
Right.
Now, are you doing that to actually preserve your beer? Do hops preserve it, or is your turnaround so quick?
The turnaround's so quick that it's probably a moot issue.
Okay.
But hops do preserve beer, and beers that were sent on long sea voyages obviously received a larger charge of hops in the cask.
Okay.
But I don't think that's something that...
Just tradition.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking for that bright hop aroma that you can only get from a dry hop.
All right, so question from the chat room. This is a good one, talking about how you serve this. Do you displace the ale with ambient air? So do you allow it to oxidize, just with the hand pump deal?
I do it both ways.
Okay.
Depending on the beer. The most, CAMRA, the Campaign for Real Ale in England, the organization the consumer organization that sort of single-handedly saved cask beer in England 20, 30 years ago, they're very much purists, and they frown upon any kind of CO2 entering into a cask, even if it's just blanket pressure.
Gotcha.
They feel like tradition must be adhered to. The end of the day, though, you want your beer to taste fresh and taste as good as it can.
Yeah.
Beers, hoppy beers, pale ales, IPAs, beers that are very popular that turn over in 2 or 3 days. No need to displace the beer that leaves the cask with.
It can oxidize in just, say, 48 hours?
What little oxidation there is, some would actually argue is beneficial at that point. There are cask, lovers in England that like the beer best on the second day because of a little bit of oxidation.
Yeah.
I tend to prefer the first day fresh cask, especially with a hoppy beer.
Gotcha.
But some, people will argue about it, and that's great. Beers that last more than 3 or 4 days, if you want to be able to sell that beer and have it taste good, you kind of got to do something. And so we have a cask breather, which is a diaphragm valve. It just just pulls in enough CO2 to replace what volume was lost.
Okay.
Without adding any top pressure, which would seep into the beer and overcarbonate the beer.
Gotcha.
And so that's sort of brewers of cask beer tend to see that as a perfectly acceptable, great way to be able to sell maybe a porter or a dark beer that's going to maybe be on tap for 4, 5, 6 days.
Yeah.
And, you know, the camera folks in England will argue about that and say, well, that's not the traditional way. But it works, and it makes the beer taste fine 5 days later, 6 days later, when otherwise it would be oxidized.
Right. Okay.
And so to be able to have 5 different cask beers on at once and have them span a range, including some darker, maltier ones that don't sell quite as fast, you know, I find that we have to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it.
Sure. I'm fine with that, too.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than a real stale beer. Let me dumb it down just for a sec in case any college kids are listening out there and things like that. What we're talking about in the oxidizing, if you ever had a kegger and you went and bought that keg from the liquor store and they gave you that hand pump so you can serve your beer, and maybe a party didn't go too well, you still got some beer left the following weekend, you chill it down again, you drink it, tastes real bad. That's because you pumped a bunch of oxygen into the keg and you oxidized your beer.
Well, what's in oxygen? You're pumping bacteria right into your beer and starts to grow.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's going to add funky flavors.
And it's just a bad flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with cask ales, if they're served traditionally, it's on a hand pump. And a hand pump is, you're basically pumping oxygen to push it. So that's just what we're talking about on kind of a dumber level for myself there. And you're right. I got no problem with it, too. I really like the philosophy of serving beer in a traditional manner, especially when you're dealing with styles like this. But I'm with you where there's nothing wrong with a little tweaking of the technology in order to serve fresh beer and serve better beer. And I think that there are people who brewed beer 150, 200 years ago. Had they had the technology, they'd have done the same thing you do, Dave. So, you know,
sure.
I don't think you're violating any rules in that sense.
We've figured out some things in brewing over the last 8,000 years, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
True that.
Do you bottle any of your beers?
I don't.
Nothing, huh? And how about distribution? Do you give it out to any of the places?
Pretty limited.
Yeah.
Limited only on my time to get out and deliver it and bring it around to places.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I do, you know, a handful of 5 or 6 accounts maybe around the bay.
Tornado
takes casks of ours.
Okay. Any place else you think of off the top of your head?
We Barclays.
In Berkeley?
Barclays in Berkeley.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes Cato's, Ben and Nick's, also in in Oakland.
Okay.
What about our house?
In the future, I will put this on my delivery route.
I appreciate that. Hey, we'll even pick it up if you put a pickup window out there. That'd be fine.
Had to ask for you, Jay.
Now, that's a good question, actually. Do you allow people to buy a keg of your beer for personal use?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
See, now that's a great idea, and I don't know if it's just that I've never asked other pubs that or if they generally don't do it. I know you can do it at Drake's. Roger mentioned that you can come by and grab a keg from him. He doesn't care. You could buy it right off of them, but I don't think a lot of places do it. So you could go into your pub and put in an order for one of yours and take it home, huh?
Yeah, I need a couple days' notice because we don't inventory those beers in kegs. I'd be filling it to order.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure I've got a clean keg of the right size.
Sure.
But yeah, sure. As long as it's subject as to availability. You know, if we're about to run out of a beer, I'm not going to put the last of it in the keg for someone. But
right,
sure.
Right.
But sure.
What about if a home brewer brings, say, 5-gallon Cornelius keg?
Yeah.
Sanitized, clean, ready for you to go.
Sure, I do that too.
Oh, see, that's great, because then you've got to bring it back.
It's yours, and
I'll be there tomorrow, Dave.
Yeah, that's even better because you know I have a small number of kegs, and
that's even better for you.
Sure, I mean you can keep it as long as you want if it's yours.
So, are you taking the day off tomorrow for President's Day?
I'll be at the pub.
So will I.
Awesome.
I'm in the city tomorrow. Why not? I'll go there afterward. Be a great time. How's the chat room going for you over there, Daniela?
It's fine.
Just wanted to check in on you. You're quiet.
I'm sick.
You are?
Under the weather.
Sick and tired or sick?
Just sick.
Okay, well that's good, because sick and tired would be no good.
I know, I'm just sick. And you're not going to the pub tomorrow, by the way.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. All right, you mentioned briefly that you guys use an English strain of yeast. And according to your website there, you only use basically one yeast. You have a proprietary yeast of your own?
I use the website's a little outdated in that regard.
Okay.
I started and for many years adhered to that. I just felt like I wanted to develop a house character.
Yeah.
It's a readily available yeast, but you know it becomes our yeast as we brew with it multiple generations, and you know it does add a house character to most of the beers. But some of the beers I was finding myself constrained by that.
Okay.
And I broke my own rule and started with the Kolsch. I tried to make a Kolsch once and using our just a cooler fermentation with the house strain, and it was still too fruity and too English tasting.
And was that a real slow fermentation too, with the Kolsch in your English ale?
It actually took off all right. It performed well. It just didn't taste like a Kolsch.
Okay.
So from that opened a floodgate, really.
Yeah.
From that point on, I got a Kolsch yeast for the Kolsch. I have an alt yeast for the alt. When we do Belgian beers, obviously we have to bring in Belgian yeasts.
Okay.
But the vast majority of the beers are made with that English strain.
And so, are you then just repitching slurry after slurry, basically? So you know, I know that we talked to you on Friday, which I really appreciate you calling in on the Lunch Meat show. That was a good time. And you mentioned that you brew about 3 times a week.
Right.
Okay. So you're just kind of transferring slurry right to the next batch?
Yeah.
Could you give us a brief description of how you do that? Get that yeast out of there and ready for the new one?
Well, we do usually pull it off into a separate vessel, a brink, if you will, which is sometimes just a sanitized bucket.
Okay. And where do you pull it off from?
From the bottom of the cone.
Just from the conical there you got. Okay. All right.
And after we crash the tank and the yeast settles mostly into the cone, we're able to just pull off enough to get another pitch for the next batch.
Okay.
And we usually try to harvest the middle of the cone. It's difficult. It's sort of the same idea as the way top cropping ale strains were originally harvested, where you waited for the right, the first stuff that rose you ignored, and then the next stuff that came you would actually save.
Gotcha.
It's the same idea. We figure that the stuff that falls in the middle of the cone is probably the best, healthiest, most viable yeast. The stuff that fell out first might have some sort of reason why it dropped out first.
Right.
And the stuff at the end is losing some of its flocculation ability and not settling out as fast. So we let a little bit out onto the floor first and try to visualize, without being able to see into the cone, visualize that middle band of yeast that's sitting in the bottom of the cone.
It's usually whiter, right?
Yeah, if it's
dark,
other than a dark beer that is going to color it a little bit, it's kind of a nice tan, really fluffy, slurry, kind of bubbly.
Okay, I gotcha. Now, in repitching, since you're using the same yeast over and over, you got it down to a science. Do you find that you can predict, how quickly you're going to ferment and the whole bit, kind of the same thing over and over for you?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when it's going to take off, when it's going to get through its lag phase and go into its exponential growth phase. And usually within a matter of hours, I mean, give or take.
You ever gotten a stuck fermentation off of a repitch like that and had to kind of do it again?
No. I've had, sometimes the first new pitch of a new strain of yeast, say we get a Belgian yeast for something special, the first pitch can be kind of tough to acclimate to the new brewery environment. It's coming from a laboratory environment, and so that can, you expect the first pitch to be a little slower.
Okay.
The second and third ones, you have to think about, we're pitching we just harvested that yeast within a day or two, and we're pitching it right into fresh wort. So this is yeast that's just always eating.
Right.
It's healthy. It's loving life. Literally. Right. I mean, it's not sitting around at all.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a chance to get dormant. I mean, that's one of the things. If you're brewing regularly enough, you're just keeping your yeast in perfect health.
Yeah.
And so it's those third, fourth, fifth, sixth generations sometimes that take off even faster, much faster than the first.
Really?
Where you end up with a better fermentation.
Do you find that your beers actually have a better flavor profile later on in generations? Because they're healthier, they're cleaner, the weaker yeast cells have settled out,
I think if there's going to be a problem, it's often the first generation that is the problem.
Okay.
And if it's a flavor-related problem or just a performance problem, I do think that after one or two generations, the yeast does truly acclimate to the geometry of your fermentation vessel and the conditions that the wort, the profile, nutrient profile in the wort that you pitch.
It's got home court advantage at that point. Knows everything about it.
It does. It knows what to expect, and I find that I do like some of those middle generations better.
Okay. How many generations will you go before you have to say this one doesn't get to work anymore?
Well, that's where it gets into, brewers' paranoia.
Okay.
You can, if, under the right conditions, you could take it really far. I've definitely gone into the high teens and the 20s.
Okay.
I tend to start to get paranoid around 10.
You do? And
start thinking about ordering another pitch.
Okay.
From a lab. But I've also gone higher. And then I've visited breweries in England where Fuller's, for example.
Yeah.
They harvest over and over and over, and we were talking about hundreds of generations.
Gotcha.
And they make great beer, and they make consistent beer, and their fermentations are predictable, and so I think American brewers tend to find themselves after 8 or 9 generations starting to worry.
Right.
To the point where it becomes a little less fun.
All right, I got to ask, and I apologize, John, but it came through. It's an ongoing debate on our show. Do you cold pitch? What temperature do you pitch your yeast at? Came through from the chat room, John. Don't blame me.
It's a good question.
It is a good question.
Good argument.
The yeast that has been harvested from the previous batch is in our cold room, which is sitting at 42 degrees. Sometime in the morning of a brew day, I tend to pull out that yeast and bring it out to the cellar, the basement temperature, which is, in the 60s or probably high 60s. And just throughout the brew day, let it come up to temperature a little bit. But other than that.
But you're doing all ales, though.
We are.
So there's an argument. It's ales versus lagers. So lagers are traditionally Germans. We were saying that they pitch cold.
Cold, right? Ales. It's a warm
pitch.
Pitch anyway.
You're fermenting warm anyway. So.
Yeah. Right. I'm fermenting. I fermented my
your brew. How's that?
My ESB. I don't know, like 72 to 74.
We'll have some raisin character.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because I just wanted to get to brewing, and I didn't have a lot of time. I was a small window, so when I was done, I just kind of I thought I could leave them outside, but there was a cold front coming in, so it was going to get down to like 50, and I was worried I wasn't going to get a fermentation at all, so I put them inside. I fermented at like 74, but I think it'll still be all right. Beer. It is an ESB, so it'll be fruity, but
you should put it out in the cold for about a week.
It's done now, though, I think.
Just put it outside for a week.
Yeah?
A lot of that will settle out, I think.
For that style, it'll be great.
Yeah. Think so?
I mean, a lot of the English brewers that are using these English strains that we get from, White Labs or Yeast.
Yeah.
They ferment on the warm side, above 70.
Okay. See, because as a rule, I've kind of say, hey, 70 is my limit. If I can keep it at 70, I've just kind of from doing the show have learned that it's a pretty safe zone and it's a real healthy place for your yeast. Mm-hmm. I obviously know that above 70, the yeast is going to go to work a little harder, but it's going to produce some things.
Right.
But you make a nice point that that over 70, and it is an ESB, I might get some nice stuff out of it.
And I think you'll be fine, Jay. Just be clean, buddy.
Yeah, I was clean. I definitely was clean. And, here's what's going to be interesting.
Don't do what Daniela did.
Where she just left it?
Yeah, for 6 weeks in the primary.
It was still fine.
Okay, good.
I think I'm kegging it Tuesday, actually. I could put that outside in the keg, right? It doesn't have to stay in the carboy.
No, just put it in the keg.
Yeah, put in the keg. Put those outside. Here's what I'm going to find interesting about this. I use 2 different kinds of yeast. I use Y Yeast Smack Pack in one of them, and I use the White Labs Vial in the other.
Which was the British, right?
We're both their own, proprietary British strain. So I'm curious what the difference is going to be on those 2. I bet it will be a different beer, and we'll see.
Report on that later.
And I even remembered which carboy I put each one in.
You tagged it.
I didn't tag it. I just know because one has a lot less volume than the other.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know, Dave. If you don't listen to the show, I'm like notorious for being an idiot, and I just forget things all the time. I planted hops. I planted 2 different strands of hops. Put them both in their thing. I remembered which one was in which. Went inside to get the label. By the time I came back out, I forgot which one was which, so I didn't know. And I thought the same thing was going to happen with this beer, but I remember.
Nice.
Short-term memory.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's the deal with that. But yeah, 74 degrees. I'm hoping for some good stuff. I'll keg it up and then see what happens.
Well, the good news is you have 8 gallons of beer, so you'll be okay.
I do. Because my new system now, I can do 10 gallons, although it was the first time I used it, so I didn't know how much boil off I was going to get. I did it. I ended up with exactly 8 gallons, I think. Huh. So
better than 5.
I got 5 in one and then 3 in the other, so I don't know if that's going to make a difference with the yeast or what. Want to take a drunk of the week call?
Okay.
Let's have a little fun.
That's it, ready? Here we go, Dave.
Hey, Gucci. You there, buddy? Gucci's freaking out. How are you, my friend?
Oh, man, I've been drinking all damn day.
Whiskey, too.
I can't get drunk enough.
What are you talking about? This guy was on the Blues Show with me this morning. He had bourbon already. It was like, what time was it there, noon?
Are you all right, man?
It's air crew, man. I can't drink enough. Hey, 50G.
Yes, sir. Oh, shit.
Cider show.
Yeah, we'll get 2 rivers in.
They want to know, but Gucci, every time I talk to him, he's nice for 5 sentences, and then the 6th sentence is always, where the fuck is the cider show?
Okay. So, Dave, I got a question for you.
There you go.
I have a 5-gallon barrel, And I've heard that for homebrewing purposes, when I was going to do like a stout or something like that, that I would get too much oakiness from a 5-gallon barrel because of surface contact. Is that right, or is there a way around that or something like that?
I can't say I've ever tried it, but I mean, it makes sense that the surface to volume ratio is so high with 5 gallons that you are going to. It seems like it would just expedite the process. So I would think that a shorter contact time would be the way to minimize the pickup of those flavors if you were trying to minimize it.
Or just stay with wood chips, I guess.
That would work, but I think if you just carefully can you sample as it's progressing along and just sort of make a call when to pull it out of there.
All right.
Gooch, can you do that? Can you take a sample and then figure out when to get it out?
If he's not
drinking. No way. I'm hopeless.
Yeah. This is the man who's lost like 15 stir bars in the last 15 brews. They're all at the bottom.
I got my cell phone run over on Las Vegas Boulevard, too.
Oh, nice work.
Yeah.
I'm going to jail.
Yeah, alcohol was a player.
Of course. That doesn't surprise me. Thanks, Gooch. We'll see you, buddy.
Ciao.
All right.
He sounds like he drank a fair amount.
It's funny about Gooch because he's always so nice.
Yeah.
And then here he's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I got a question. Angry.
He's just very angry in general today. And he really wants a cider show.
I know. I'm telling you, really, every 6 sentences from him is, where's the fucking cider show?
Yeah, and other people want it too. Where's the cider show? When's the cider show?
But at this point, like, we missed the opportunity for, like, it's not cider season again till what, October?
Yeah, it's the fall, so.
Yeah, so.
Strawberries in spring, apples in the fall.
You want us to do it now? You don't, right?
Well,
we can do it, like, 2 months in advance.
Sure.
Right?
We'll
so that they can.
Like July or something.
All right. Even that's too early. You got to do it in the fall.
What is it, cider season? That's when you drink the cider or what?
No, it's because that's when you harvest apples and whatnot, and that's what you use in your cider. So you want to get like fresh fruit and then do your brew right then. Like, you know, if you're really going to do a good cider, not that I've ever done it, but from what I understand, you want to pick the fruit, kind of do it all yourself, get it mashed and into your cider, right? Yeah. So you don't want to do a cider now. You want to wait till you can harvest some stuff.
We could do an information, like this.
Yeah.
The show, and
I thought the guy's not calling us back though. We're not like putting off the show.
We are trying,
but he just hasn't got back to us yet, right?
It's like one. I've only called him once, so I'm not going to say it.
Okay. Well,
I don't want to burden.
That poor John. He's like he makes all these calls and emails, and then he's like, I don't want to bother the poor guy, right?
Yeah. No one.
Oz, you're on the air. What's up, buddy?
Oh shit.
Hi, man.
How are you?
I'm good. What's going on?
Just hanging out here with Dave. You been drinking whiskey all day with Gucci, or what?
Yeah, but Gucci's bringing it weak. He's been going since lunchtime. I was going since like 5 a.m.
It's true. When Oz tuned into the Blue Show this morning, and I don't know what's wrong with this guy, because he does every Sunday, but it's literally 5 a.m. when he tunes in.
I think he stays up for 2 days.
He rolls out of, he always sleeps for like 2 hours. And then he rolls out of bed, he shows up in the chat room, and he's like, I think I'm going to have bourbon and a cigar. It's 5 a.m.
Oz, you're my hero.
Yeah. I think you're right, Oz. Gucci is bringing it weak.
That's it. Yeah. I want to send some props out to one of the guys in the forum, Skipper.
Yeah.
He searched down that Fuller's ASB and brought me a bottle around yesterday, so I reckon that's really good.
Oh, that's real nice. Yeah, you were mentioning that earlier. That's cool. So this guy, another one of our great Australian listeners there, his name's Skipper in our forum, goes out because they can't always find the beers that we're doing our tasting here. Well, Skipper found out where he can get it. Oz couldn't get it. Guy drives an hour.
Wow.
Brings Oz a bottle of it, and then drives back home. Oz sent him home with some homebrew, didn't you, buddy?
Yeah, give him some of my wheat.
Attaboy. And then...
I love brewers, man.
Then the guy goes home. He goes home with Oz's beer, and he proceeds to write him an email or whatever of everything he got out of Oz's beer. Gave him a full, flavor profile, what he thought of it, all this different stuff. This guy is...
That's hardcore.
Yeah, I think we should call him, Saint Skipper. From now on, he ought to change his name. He's the beer saint of Australia. He's a good guy. Well, I'm glad. So, what'd you think of the Fullers then?
It's not too bad. I don't mind it. I'm not a big fan of the British style beers, but the Fullers isn't too bad.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I think it's pretty alright. Definitely malty. Yeah. Got that malt flavor. All right.
I've got one more thing too.
Go ahead.
I was saying in the chat room this morning that I'm going to kick everybody's ass that complains that the archives are going up too slow.
Yeah?
And then old St. Jamil gets on and starts whinging about it.
Oh, was he complaining about the archives there?
Yeah, complaining that his show's not on bloody iTunes yet. So when I come over there next year, I'm going to kick his ass.
Yeah, kick the Pope's ass. Good. That's good, Oz. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, buddy.
All right.
We'll see you.
Cheers, Oz.
Bye.
Yeah, Gucci is bringing it weak. I'm going to agree with Oz on that. And I like that he got on the Pope's ass. Be complaining of me, Jamil.
Can't wait to meet Oz.
It's too bad we don't have a budget. Just fly the guy out here. Nice. And Skipper, what a good Australian that man is. Drove an hour to bring that man a beer. That's a cool thing to do. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap things up here with Dave McLean from Magnolia Brew Pub. And great beers he's got going on there, great pub, and good discussion. I appreciate you hanging out with us, Dave.
Yeah, thanks.
My pleasure.
Lots about the Cask Ales. We'll be right back. It's the Brewing Network.
And now back to the Brewcasters. The Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
All right, you're back. Dave McLean from Magnolia Pub in San Francisco, California. He's right there on the Haight if you want to go check him out. Great place, I'm telling you. Go look at the website, magnoliapub.com. Just good art, good information, cool place to go. If you're not from California, looking at the website will make you want to come here, I'll tell you that. It's really good stuff. We're talking a lot about your ingredients that we use here, Dave. And one of the things I was reading is about your base malt. You got that all over your website. And you prefer to use the traditional English Maris Otter.
I do. I love the stuff.
Okay.
A lot of the older varieties of English malt, Maris Otter being the one that we go to the most.
Uh-huh.
But there's one called Pearl. There's Golden Promise, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with.
Yeah.
They all have, they're like heirloom barleys, basically. You think of like heirloom tomatoes or something, a seed, a plant that hasn't been altered in the last 50 years.
Okay.
And it's just, time has maybe passed it by from a production standpoint. It doesn't yield as well in the field, or maybe it's not as resistant to disease as newer strains.
Okay.
But in the end, the growers and the maltsters and everybody involved give up some of those things, some of those modern conveniences in order to produce a malt that's just got superior flavor.
Okay.
Superior is subjective, of course, but
sure.
For the kind of beers I like to make, I think it's Maris Otter especially is just you can't go wrong starting with that as a base.
What do you think it brings to your beers?
It brings a very rich, bold, kind of biscuity malt profile. Some of the flavors you might get from some of your specialty malts, maybe from caramels or low colored crystals.
Mm-hmm.
But without the residual sugar that you get from some of those specialty malts. This is just in the base malt. You're getting some of these biscuity flavors.
Right.
And, it holds up well to really high hopping rates. I mean, it's kind of ironic because you use it thinking, well, it's perfect to make English beers that are very balanced and, the malt stands up, as the front and center. But then, lo and behold, it turns out that you can, hop the hell out of one of those beers using Maris Otter as a base, and you still know that there's malt there. It doesn't go over that top and cross that boundary where it becomes hop tea.
Gotcha.
Because it's a bold malt and
it's got the backbone.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me interrupt just a second because we got a caller here. I think someone wants to do Drunk of the Week. Are you still there, buddy?
Oh, I'm here.
Who are we talking to?
That's Bub.
Bub?
Yeah.
As in boob?
Boob.
It's Daniela's favorite, boob. How you feeling today?
A little out of my head, but doing okay.
And what have you been drinking?
A bunch of homebrew. I just sent you guys a bunch of it.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
My birth announcement beer for my daughter.
Hey, congrats.
Sweet. That's great. Homebrewers are awesome. I'm having a daughter. Let's brew. It's my daughter vintage.
I'm cleaning out the basement. I got like a half dozen of these things here. I opened up a beer from like 3 Christmases ago.
Really? How was that?
I sent you some of it. It's a little foamy.
Is it?
I don't know if it went bad or I don't know. I'm too drunk to taste it.
Yeah, I got you. It gushed a little bit, though, huh?
It gushed a little bit. I mean, I had it in the fridge for like a day, too. So it shouldn't have been too bad, but
right.
It gushed a little bit.
All right, we'll keep that in mind before we pop the cap in here.
Yeah, I sent you a half dozen, I don't know, bunch of beer and a dozen pint glasses I had made. So.
Oh, really? With your homebrew logo on it, or what?
Yeah, with my homebrew logo on it.
Oh, that's cool, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I did that for Christmas. I got like a case of the damn thing sitting here, so I might as well send you some, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate it.
You can give them away, or you can keep them, or whatever. I mean, you're kind of an a-hole, so you'll probably keep them, but, whatever.
He is selfish that way.
Yeah, you make a good point, Boop. I will totally keep them. And we'll do a tasting right out of them, too. How about that?
Yeah, that's cool, whatever. I mean, you can call me an a-hole. That's cool.
All right, Boob. Well, you got my vote so far for Drunk of the Week.
All I have to do is call you an a-hole, and I'm Drunk of the Week. And everybody in the forum is Drunk of the Week, then.
It's that easy.
It is
good point.
Yeah, but you called in to do it, so that's the difference.
All right.
You bet.
Game on.
Okay. Thanks, Bub.
All right, bye.
We'll see you. I don't know if I got anything to give him, but I'll call him Drunk of the Week. We got something.
We got some of them there.
Somewhere. Still got time left, though. We could take some other people. All right. 2 things. Back to your Maris Otter. 2 things that you mentioned, Dave, on your site when talking about this thing that I want to know about. And probably dumb questions, but sometimes the dumbest are the good ones. Maris Otter is a floor malted barley is what you put there. What does that mean, that it's floor malted?
Well, it's not all Maris Otter is floor malted. But the Maris Otter we use is floor malted. Maris Otter is the variety, just the name of the variety that grows in the field.
Right.
And then because it's such a premium malt, a lot of times it does get the sort of super premium treatment in the malt house.
Okay.
Which is to floor malt it means to germinate it and spread it out on a large floor. These huge rooms that are perforated, kind of a concrete floor with a bunch of little holes in it, so they can temperate the malt by blowing air up through it. But it's spread very wide but very shallow. Maybe only about a foot deep, and that keeps hot during the germination process. The little barley seeds are sprouting, and the little roots and shoots are coming out.
Yeah.
And in a big germination tank, it's quite possible and pretty likely that you're going to have some of the roots and shoots kind of clump together.
Okay.
And create these tight balls of germinating barley where the heat energy from the germination is actually kind of cooking the barley.
Okay.
And so you end up with these regional hotspots. You end up with an inconsistent product sometimes.
Gotcha.
Modern technology allows for that to be controlled and monitored so they can tell.
Okay.
But nonetheless, the older way of doing it is to sort of spread it out on a big floor, so that's not even possible. It's only a foot deep at its deepest. And they still, even with that, they walk through with these turners on their backs, these kind of plow-type devices.
Oh, really?
And they just drag them up and down the floor and keep turning it, too. So it's just this little foot-deep, room full of malt, and they just keep flipping it over and over and over, so none of it clumps together and none of it gets too hot.
Okay.
It all stays the same temperature, and that produces a really consistent product.
Nice.
And
how big a room are we talking here?
Think of a big kind of warehouse-type space.
So as big as a warehouse.
Like a Costco kind of place or something,
No kidding. And the whole floor of that is how they do it.
Yeah, it's just a big room with kind of a low ceiling, because it doesn't need to be very tall.
Sure.
But really wide and really far.
Okay.
And it's space intensive.
Yeah.
Nobody builds a floor maltings anymore. It's one of those things where I think 6 companies do it in England still.
Okay.
And they're all 7th generation, 8th generation. It's just something that, their fathers did and their fathers did. And
it was already there when they got it.
You just don't decide to open up floor maltings today.
Right.
But a lot of brewers really put a premium on getting if you're using this great product to start with, the Maris Otter is such a great variety of barley.
Okay.
And then to give it just, really loving care in a floor maltings rather than a big tank maltings.
Okay.
Do they add any moisture to the floor malting to have it germinate?
Yeah, it's the moisture content is raised in the beginning, and then
is it humidified or is it from the floor?
It's moistened first before it's spread out on the floor.
Oh, so
it starts out. It goes from it gets offloaded and cleaned through screens. Where all the straw and the other bits fall off, and then it gets put into a tank very quickly where it's just moistened to the right.
So it's wet going into the
and
place.
Then the wet malt gets spread out on the floor.
Oh, interesting.
And then the perforations in the floor blow it dry.
Okay.
So kind of the moisture content is slowly changed.
And they don't wet it again after that?
No.
Okay. Wow.
It's pretty cool. It's a cool thing to see.
Yeah. Now, and they kiln it at a higher level bond too, right? It's a little bit. It's a dark malt profile. So if you're going to do an all Maris Otter based beer, it would be a darker color.
Yeah, you will get some more color.
Okay.
I think that it varies by maltster too.
Right.
But I think that ours is. So we're using Thomas Fawcett, which is up in Yorkshire in the center of England, north central England, and I think it's about 2.3, 2.4 lava bond.
Right.
Which is a little high for a pale malt.
Sure. Yeah, I use mirror solder myself too, and you do get more malt backbone in your homebrew. So compared to a 2-row Great Western, it's a little drier.
Yeah, it's a significant change in the flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes, if you like the taste of it, which maybe not everyone does, I know, but if you do like the taste of it, it's very hard to go back.
Yeah.
Once you start playing around with it, it's like once you eat an heirloom tomato. It's very hard to eat a pasty white tomato, in the middle of winter.
From Safeway, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. The good ones, once you have the good stuff. Now, but given that, you mentioned on your site as well that some people are switching from the mirror solder because it's considered to be less efficient than some of the newer malts. So what do you think about that as far as efficiency?
I think mirror solder is an efficient malt. I think that it's some of the problems with it are more upstream in the growing of it. I think that the growing and the malting of it. I think that farmers don't like to grow it as much because it's more disease susceptible.
Okay.
And it yields poorly in the field. So it drives up the price because they're charging a premium for their extra effort. And so I think, on the website, I think I used efficiency in that sense as not so much your mash efficiency.
More efficiency of
more
growth.
Just the economics of making it and selling it, and does it make sense for a brewery that to pay that extra money per pound to bring it in for that reason.
Okay.
So as a home brewer, though, I mean, you can afford a few extra cents a pound if you're making 20 pounds at a time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great to be able to play around with the best ingredients at that level. It's kind of when you have to start making those harder decisions.
Yeah.
As a business, do the 6 cents a pound make sense, or do the 20 cents a pound make sense?
And that's a tough decision that you almost hate to ever have to ask yourself. Do I not just go always for the best quality of ingredient? You all of a sudden got to ask, I really want to do that, but can I afford to do it?
Well, especially if you're going into it. First, you're probably young, you don't care about ingredients, but later, as you grow and you're 40 times as big as you ever dreamed of, maybe you want to cut back a little bit.
Yeah, then you might got to worry about 6 cents a pound if you're buying 500 pounds, Yeah. Oh, that's not very much.
Not at all, but...
All right, I'm going to take a quick call here. I think we'll sidetrack just for a second. I think we got a review of the Hop Stopper.
Yeah.
Is that what we got here?
It's MedTech.
Now, if you guys don't remember, iHomebrew Solutions called into the show not too long ago. Actually, no, I guess it was a few months ago now. And let us try a product called the Hop Stopper, which I've not used myself yet. And they gave one away to Beer Pal, actually. And Beer Pal had a little difficulty with it. And the guy at iHomebrew Solutions has been just real cool about helping Beer Pal out with his problems. In fact, he published a new test himself where he just... I'll show you the pictures after the show, John. And I'm probably going to be posting this review on the forum. An unbelievable amount of hops. He put 18 ounces or some ridiculous thing you put. And it seemed to work real well. But MedTech, you're on the phone here, buddy?
Hello.
Hey, MedTech, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing real good. So MedTech, I guess you used it yourself, and you want to give us a little review of the Hop Stopper?
Yeah, I figured I won it from you guys, and you wanted to hear back from me, so I'd call in and let you know how it worked.
Awesome, let's do it. What did you find out?
The first batch I tried was actually a Scottish ale, which didn't have hardly any hops in it, and that thing collected what little bit of hops was in there, and it drained right down to the bottom.
Okay.
Worked great.
Very nice. So you got a real clear wort out of it.
Oh, yeah. The second batch I tried, figured I'd give it a real test and gave it an IPA with over 6 ounces of pellet hops.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran it through, and I use a pump and a counterflow chiller, and since it's so damn cold out here, like -20, I could run it full bore with the pump wide open.
Okay.
And the only problem I had was right at the end was I just attribute to me pulling it out of the keg so fast that it left a little bit under a gallon of wort in the bottom.
Okay.
And it broke the siphon, so I kind of lost that. I mean, probably if I had slowed it down at the end, it would have been able to take out a lot more of the wort.
Would have gone right there.
Still collected a ton of hops.
That was 6 ounces, you said?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No hop bags?
Nope.
Okay.
Just threw them through the pellets right in.
Yeah. Nice. And now, is that the just the straight version that he sent to you from Winning? It wasn't modified or anything else?
He just sent it right, whatever he sent me is what I installed in I had a converted keg and
nice.
Put it right in.
Nice. So is it now considered a full-time guy in your brew system?
Oh, yeah, I'll leave it in there. I mean, next time I'll try slowing the pump down when I get toward the end, and that should solve that problem.
Yeah. Hey, it's a good idea. I'll tell you what, I have one too, because he sent us a sample, and the sample he sent us is just for a straight converted keg, which is what I have now. And in my last batch, the first time brewing on it, I totally screwed up my whirlpool. I just did the whirlpool later instead of earlier, and then I transferred everything. But what I'm thinking, I'm gonna plug that guy into mine too, and check it out, because I got probably the same thing you got, just the base, whatever the regular model is, and it's designed for a converted keg, and that's what I have. So I'm gonna plug it in and give it a shot now too.
And I got a couple of pictures of the amount of hops that are stuck to it.
Oh, okay.
If you want to go online, it's Bettez.net, BETTEZ.net.
Okay.
And there's a couple of pictures at the bottom of the page that shows, there's a good 1/4 inch of hops stuck to that thing, and it works pretty good.
Nice.
Good feedback.
That's great feedback. All right, so let me ask you this then. I'll put it to the test here. I think that it retails for right around $60. If you hadn't gotten it given to you, would you pay $60 for it?
Yeah, probably. If I heard someone use it and said it worked, I'd definitely give it a try.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too.
Because it's just so much easier to clean that thing after. I take it right out and I just squirt it down with the hose, and it's it's clean. I don't have to worry about hop bags and burning my damn hands and trying to add hops to a bag and all that. It's just so much easier to throw it right in and easy to clean.
All right, cool. Hey, I appreciate the review.
No problem. I'd like to thank you guys for giving it away, and thank Innovative Homebrew Solutions also.
Absolutely. Thanks, MedTech.
Thanks.
All right, buddy. Yeah, that's a good review. That's nice. In case you didn't hear that show, it's basically a screen with a copper tube in the middle of it so that you can transfer your wort right from the kettle through whatever you're going to do it. In fact, the guy who owns iHomebrew Solutions, all of his tests, they transferred through a Therminator, which is even more likely to get clogged if it actually transfers anything. Yeah. And it works awesome every time, he had said. There were a couple posts from Beer Pal. I guess Beer Pal actually purchased one. MedTech won it. Or he had a little trouble. And the guy from iHomebrew Solutions just really helped him out, got him going with it. And it's just a way to avoid the whirlpool, which I screwed up this time, and also still get a clean wort. So it's iHomebrewSolutions.com if you guys want to check it out. He was nice enough to donate a couple of months ago, so figure we let that review go down. That's very cool. All right, I think we got a question from a caller, too. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, guys, it's George. How you doing?
Good, George. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Nice. What can we do for you?
Step a batch.
Oh, yeah? What'd you finish?
I brewed an ordinary bitter.
Oh, was that a Jameel Show thing happening for you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, sure was.
Listen to the Jameel Show and took the advice?
I did.
All right.
About sweaty balls?
Or real light gravity beers, and it kind of got me thinking about the Cask thing last week, so it's an opportune guest here.
Yeah.
I got a question for Dave about the Cask thing.
Okay, do it.
Now, I found in BYO there's a sort of a little make-your-own engine, but I've kind of been held up by the beer going stale because there's no way that I'm going to drink, 5 gallons before it goes stale.
Okay.
So, has he ever known any way to get a home brewer or a corny keg volume to, something that put it's like a CO2 blanket on it without...
Yeah, kind of the same way he does it with his, but on a homebrew scale. What do you know about that, Dave?
I'm not aware of anything like that, but I can't remember how much I paid for my Cask breather. That's what it's called.
Okay.
But I think that's the perfect solution. It could very well be the perfect solution at the homebrew level too, because it is. I mean, if you have CO2 for whatever other applications you're doing at home, if you got a bottle of CO2, it's very easy to hook up this breather, and maybe a way to kind of come up with one on your own too. But it really is just a disc with a diaphragm valve.
Okay.
And it's just a demand valve. It just it only opens when there's a change in the in the volume and change in the it starts when the cask itself starts to pull a vacuum because it's pulling on the system as the beer runs out. It's just going to bleed in a little bit of CO2, just enough to be a blanket pressure to help preserve the beer and keep it from oxidizing.
That's very simple. It's just a one-way valve, right?
Yeah. It's just
I have to look into seeing what I can find to build one of those because I found a source for one, but they're like easily $150 from the UK.
Oh, right.
Especially by the time you ship them, it's another $50 or $60.
Right, but there has to be some other kind of demand valve like that that's not maybe not customized for the brewing industry, but and therefore a little cheaper.
Right, absolutely.
It's in a big balloon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you almost could.
CO2.
And you could almost do it manually if you connected a cartridge like the travel cartridge.
No, I would put in a 5-gallon corny keg and put it on like a 1 or 2 pound pressure, and just leave it at that. Because I don't think you'll ever exceed that really as far as a solution, the carbonation going in the solution.
So you could still hand pump it then, because that's not enough to push it, you're saying? And that would be enough to replace it?
Yeah. Or just do a quick disconnect and purge it with the 1 pound pressure and then...
It's a pain.
Yeah.
I mean, but it would work. I mean, a pound or two of pressure is not going to seep into the beer and carbonate the beer.
Right. Is that enough to serve it, you think, out of a keg like that?
Yeah, well, if you're going
to pump it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You want to pump it.
Okay.
I mean, that's the deal. He wants to hand pump it, but he doesn't want to oxygenate it at the same time.
I mean, if you gravity dispensed it just out of a tap, you would notice as the flow started to go down, that would be time to charge it up with another little hit from your CO2 tank.
Yeah.
That's probably what I'll try with this one, but I was hoping for maybe you might know something that would, be a little bit less labor intensive.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the so-called cask breather, which is just a demand valve, is if it's a small investment, but it would definitely do the trick.
Got to do it.
I would email JP at morebeer.com.
Yeah, to go out and find a homebrew product for it.
He's got a hand pump right next to his desk right now that we're going to start to carry.
Yeah.
So I think, eventually homebrewers will be able to have that at home.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I got a feeling JP's going to be on the phone with Dave next week. Hey, tell me about that breather again. How'd that work? Yeah. Or, hey, iHomebrew Solutions, man. You guys coming up with some good stuff. Come up with a little diaphragm like that.
I'm sure homebrewers can do it, too.
Yeah. It is a simple mechanism you think about. I couldn't do it because I'm half a retard, but it's not that difficult to just put a diaphragm in there.
What about those aquarium pumps? Those aquarium CO2 things that release a certain amount of CO2 into an aquarium?
Yeah, but they do it consistently. You just plug it in and it goes.
So hook that up to your keg and plug it in as you serve it with a hand pump.
Yeah, it's the same as having your CO2 tank on there, though. You need something that can it's only when you draw from the beer that it allows the stuff in.
Okay.
All right, hey, thanks for the call. It's a good question.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, see you, buddy.
Bye.
All right. Can't solve everything around here, huh, Daniela?
Mm-mm.
Could you build one of those things? You're a German.
I think I could.
Phone's ringing off the hook. That's always a good time. All right, so let's see. What else did I have here for you? Hey, let's talk about your hops. You're pretty traditional with the Kent Goldings, but you also use a lot of Cascade in your beers?
Yeah, I definitely appreciate both sides of the pond in that one.
I like that.
If I'm making the British-style beers, I love East Kent Goldings.
Okay.
I definitely like the aroma a little better, I think, than the American Goldings I've had.
Mm-hmm.
And other ones, too. Challenger, Northdown, those are favorites of mine, especially Challenger. I've been using a lot of Challenger lately.
Really?
And I like that. I like the aroma in it.
Is Challenger one of the high alpha acid ones, or just a real strong
medium?
Smell? It is?
Yeah, it's like 7 to 8, depending on the...
It's on the high side, though, right?
It's a traditional...
What's a high? 14? Is a 14 a high?
Teens are definitely high.
Okay.
I mean, 13 to 15, 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been using that lately,
I like Challenger, yeah. Whereas East Kent Goldings adds sort of an earthy, spicy note, Challenger's a little bit of a brighter note.
Okay.
And so depending on what you're going for, that can be a nice alternative.
Gotcha.
Your First Gold is kind of a newer English, well, not new, but one of the newer English varieties. I've been playing around with that.
Okay.
But then to turn around and throw Columbus and Cascade into a beer is not beyond me either. I mean, our IPAs we do 2 IPAs. We do an English style that's got all the English hops, and then we do a unabashedly American West Coast IPA that is Columbus and Cascade.
Nice.
And
when you throw that handful of whole flower hops into your whatever particular cask beer, what's your favorite there?
Usually East Kent Goldings.
You will, okay.
Except the Proving Ground IPA, which is our West Coast IPA. That'll get a handful of Cascade.
And you use flowers in that too?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't dry hop any of your beers with pellets?
No, even in if we dry hop a bright tank, a serving tank, it'll be a big bag full of whole hops.
Oh, okay. Now this is an idea that I like. We've talked about this before, to actually dry hop the serving tank. Now for that, you guys will you'll put it into a nylon
bag, yeah,
and just throw it right in there. I don't know. I'm trying to think of. I guess a regular keg you don't have a problem with dip tube, but I'm thinking in the corny keg. I'm wondering if that bag is going to get stuck down at the bottom of the dip tube.
Yeah, I probably will. It would clog it.
I would tie it to the dip tube.
Tie it to the bottom of the dip tube, but just above where it would pour.
Yeah, I mean, I tie my bag in the tank to one of the bolts on the top of the Grundy tank.
Oh, you do? Okay.
And dangle it in there so it never falls to the bottom.
Yeah. Now that's a great idea.
And
I guess, because you don't need it to be all the way to the, the bottom of the keg. You just want it to get its flavors out, and then it's fine if it ends up out of solution, right?
Right, which it does in my situation.
Because you tie it up top.
Right.
Sort of. Okay.
So it's just hanging there at the end.
But it's already done its job at that point.
Yeah, I've already extracted the volatile aromas and flavors that I want. So
okay.
Yeah, I think that's
Now, what about sanitation issues when you're doing that?
It defies all, everything you think about, brewery sanitation, because you're just putting a big bag full of hops, and it's very hard to do anything about it. You can't sanitize the hops.
No, you're not going to dip them in.
That it's true that hops are somewhat antibacterial, antimicrobial.
Yeah.
And
sure. What about the bag itself?
I'll soak that in sanitizer.
You will.
But
okay.
Yeah, I mean it's been done for so many hundreds of years that it seems to be all right.
I'm thinking I actually dry. I know it's an ESB, and it was sort of traditional how I brewed it. But I'm really thinking of dry hopping, not in the carboy, but doing a keg dry hop. I'm going to have 2 kegs. I guess I can do it with one and not the other.
I'll try it.
But I just thought I might throw a little Kent Goldings in a bag there and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I've seen some craft brewed, beers sent out into the trade with a bag hanging in there.
Oh, okay.
People have done it, and to try to get that most volatile of aromas, as close to the customer as possible or as close to the drinker as possible.
Right.
It's definitely done. It can be done.
I'm thinking I could tie it right to the middle of the dip tube, and that way it'll still be submerged like 4 hours after I tap it.
Good. Or
I'm going to go pretty quick once I'll get a good 4 hours of dry hop out of it.
Try sealing the lid with a lot of high pressure CO2 with the strings attached on the outside. Pulling up on the lid.
Oh, yeah?
Put like 14 or 15 pounds on it, and try pulling up and sealing it that way.
That's an interesting concept. Yeah. You're risking possibly it leaking, though, huh?
Have a high pressure on it. I think you can hold the seal.
Yeah.
Try it.
Well, but in the end, you can only have 12 pounds to pour. And more than that, right?
Which is not that bad serving carbonation level. But, of course, you're doing it in English, so maybe you want a lower pressure. So it's up to you. You're the brewer.
Yeah, I got you.
Ideal thing would be to weld a little hook on the inside of your corny keg lid.
Right, to just do it right to that.
Yeah.
And More Beer sells that, too.
Oh, you do?
Uh-huh.
And they'll weld it for you?
It's a little tab inside, and you just tie on your hops to the tab and replace the lid.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hey, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Jamil.
Hey, Jamil, what's happening?
All right. I wanted to tell Dave, I love Magnolia. I love your beers. I love the atmosphere. I love everything about it.
Yeah. Thanks. Do you know Jamil, Dave?
No.
Just kissing your ass anyway?
Thanks. I'll take it.
I go down there, and anytime in San Francisco, and I've got the time, I stop in and have a few pints. And
okay.
The service to the food to the beer is excellent. Plus, even the guest beers are great.
Nice. How many guest beers do you keep, Dave?
Usually none.
Oh, okay.
But we bring in special things.
You will, okay.
If it's friends in the brewing industry that have something really special that we want to put on.
Yeah.
Or, like I mentioned before, the JWLEs, the casks.
Yeah.
We'll bring in a lot of English casks now and again.
Okay.
Right now we don't have any on because we got all our strong beers on. And
that's because it's Strong Beer Month.
Strong Beer Month, right. But
okay. We'll talk about that in a sec.
But yeah, I mean, I usually bring in guest casks more so than guest kegs.
Okay.
Right. And you got to go in daily so you can experience the range of stuff that they have on there. But I wanted to say on the casks, if you're going to use a beer engine, you can't pressurize it with CO2 unless the pressure that you're going to use, if it's more than the resistance of your line between your beer engine and your keg or your cask, beer's just going to run out through your beer engine and onto the floor.
Ah, right.
And most CO2 regulators, when you get down into the 1 psi, 2 psi even, they're not very accurate, and they tend to range around, and you're just going to end up with a big mess. So don't hook it up at low pressure. Either buy a cask breather.
Yeah.
It's going to run you about $75.
Oh, you found one?
Yeah, I have one. Just go on the internet, type in cask breather, and you'll find a guy who sells them.
Oh, perfect.
And
leave it to Pope.
Do that, or another trick is get yourself a sterile filter from More Beer or one of those places.
Yeah.
Hook it in with a piece of soft tubing onto your gas inline and hook that up to your keg. And you may be getting oxygen, and it may be oxidizing a little bit, but at least you're not going to get sour, funky flavors off of that using the sterile filter.
It's regular. It's just like a HEPA filter, right?
Yeah, it's a little disc filter that goes right in.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
It costs you a couple of bucks. It's not that expensive. So that's one way to do it. And do that when you're hooking it up. But don't pressurize your keg if you're hooking up to a beer engine, because you'll just spew beer everywhere eventually.
That's such an obvious and great point, because when you pull, it's a hand pump. You're pulling. It's not like a regular tap where it has to be pushed. So you're right. It's just going to squeeze right out.
Right. There's no restriction, no check valve in that direction.
Yeah.
They do have check valves you can put in.
Okay.
Same guy that sells a Cask breather can sell you the check valves.
Gotcha. You have a hand pump? Right. You have a hand pump at home too?
Yes, I do. I've got the Mercedes of hand pumps.
Really?
An Angram.
Doesn't surprise me.
So we have it.
I'll bring it down and hook it up there at the studio for you.
Hey, do it. That'd be awesome.
Can we leave it here?
All right.
Hey, before you go then, you want to point out maybe one or two of your favorite Magnolias and tell us about those? Can you think of anything off the top of your head you really like of his beer?
I think the last time I was there, the brown. What's the name of the brown, Dave?
Big Cypress Brown.
Yeah, that was something special, and they had it on Cask the last time I was there, and it was just so tasty.
Nice.
I love that a lot.
All right, cool. Thanks, Jamil.
Hey, thanks,
Jamil.
All right, see you, buddy.
Take care.
That's cool.
That's a good point with the HEPA filter.
Yeah, because then you get the oxygen in, but not all the bacteria.
So you'd probably have to gravity feed then, at that point.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to... You'd have to gravity feed into your hand pump. Or, no, the hand pump creates a
the hand pump,
right?
Yeah, the hand pump's doing it, and you're now opening up the CO2 side by putting a fitting on there with a HEPA filter.
Right.
So, no, you can still just pump it. That's a great way to do it. Although, $70 for the thing, that's not terrible. If you are real interested in having not going stale, maybe that thing's going to be around for a month or so, I think $70 isn't bad. You just go online and do a search for it, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, a month you would have oxidation.
Yeah, right.
At least you wouldn't have spoilage because of the filter.
Okay.
But
yeah, I'd spend the $70 if it was going to be sitting around a month. Of course, in my house, it's not going to sit around for a month anyway, so I wouldn't need to spend the $70. I'd do the HEPA filter route. That would go fine for me. Okay, we got to take a quick break. Although we got another phone call. Hey, MedTech, is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
What's happening, buddy?
Hey, I just had to say to CJ, you're too damn slow.
Who's too slow?
He's been trying to call for the last 20 minutes. I give it one try and I'm through. I don't know what his problem is. Because he's too drunk.
Someone trying to call in from the chat. He is too slow. Is that all you called in for, just to beat him to it?
Uh-huh.
All right, thanks for the call.
If he's not drunk enough, then he can't make it through.
He can't dial. You got to be drunk to call. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks a lot.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a real quick break, I think. And
we have some listener beers.
Oh, yeah, you want to take a break and taste them, or you want to taste them now?
Let's taste them now.
Yeah, why don't we taste them and then just get out of here?
Okay.
All right. What do you got?
This is Carlo Camarda from Sonoma County. It says Belgian triple with Brettanomyces. It's spiked.
Okay.
And then I've also got
I'm in the mood for a good Belgian triple, too, so that sounds good. Wow, what do you got going on there?
Sorry, buddy.
It says Belgian triple poured in a hurricane. And, all right, here. Let me finish this.
And then we have Denny Morton's IPA.
Oh, you got two, huh?
Yes.
What'd they do, just drop these off straight to you at the shop?
Yeah, they email me and they want to get on and get our honest opinion and see what we think. But
okay, cool. You all know that you can send us your beer at any time. We're happy to do it and give you a good, evaluation of your beer. Of course, if you're worried about criticism or something, don't send it to us. But if you want a good, honest opinion, we love to do it. And John and Doc are real good at tasting them, and we always have a good brewer in here like Dave to help us out too. So if you need the address to send it, I did pull it off of the website. You never know who's going to read that, and so go ahead and shoot me an email, and I'll give you the email address. I'm not that discriminating about it. All you have to do is say, "Can I have the address?" Mm-hmm. I gave it away to like 10 people this week, so it's not a big deal. All right, so who's are we tasting first here?
This is Carlo's Belgian triple spike the Brett.
What's Carlo's screen name? You know? Anybody remember?
I don't remember. He's the guy that's standing in front of a big fermenter. That's his avatar.
Okay. Oh, it smells good.
It's really well done.
You've already had this?
No, I tried it earlier, yes.
Yeah, the aroma's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that smell. Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
A ton of fruity flavor in there.
I think that maltiness will go away in time because the Brett will keep working.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not as sour as a lot of the ones we get, and I like that. It is still sour.
Oh, yeah.
But the fruit... I love that when you can have two completely different opposite things happening.
Yeah.
A sweet fruit and a sour like the Brett. I like that.
It's nice and complex.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. I like it.
Anything else stand out for you? Any particular flavors, Dave, that you got there?
I love the fruit from the fermentation.
Yeah.
You know, the Brett gets me more in the nose.
Okay.
And then You know, what gives way after that is definitely a nice fruitiness.
Yeah.
You know, you don't usually find it, you know, a triple.
Right.
Which tend to be very fruity. But
pretty dry in the aftertaste, too.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good. You want that to go away real quick off your tongue, and it does. Leaves you with the fruit.
It's refreshing, too. Drink a lot of this.
There's nothing wrong with this beer, Carlo.
No, I like it.
This is really a good beer.
I'm just going to drink it all.
Yeah, could you send another one? Not for tasting on the air, but for off-site drinking?
A little 6-ouncer, you know?
Is that what he sent, the little guy? Okay.
Itching it out.
Yeah.
Great.
He did it in one of those smaller champagne bottles. Basically a mini champagne bottle is what he sent.
He needs to enter this in the Nationals.
This is it's a nice beer.
Yeah.
I think Doc would be loving this too. Doc loves a good double. Yeah.
We could leave it open for a week and we wouldn't even know.
That's true. It's the same. No, that's great. Hey, Carlo, what a dead segment. I got nothing to say except for it's real good. Everyone loves it. Very nice. All right, we're going to try the other one now. Go ahead, Danielle.
He wants to know, he's in a chat room tonight, and he would like to know if there was any faults in his beer.
He wants to know if there's any faults.
It's fine, man.
Not
well
one.
Done.
Well done. Nothing stale, nothing. It's all fresh and nice, and this isn't me talking. I know you don't want my opinion, Carlo, but
no, it's
nothing, right?
I really enjoy it all the way around.
Yeah, don't change a thing. Brewed again, exactly the same. Don't ever change it. No, Carlo, send us a bad one if you want some advice. Don't send us these gems. Post the recipe. Put it up on the forum if you would.
Yeah. We should have a homebrew recipe section. That'd be cool.
Sure. Yeah, post the recipe and post your procedure, what you fermented at, all that kind of stuff. I'd be curious about that. If you warm ferment. Just in the chat room, post there for us, Carlo, what temp you fermented at, because I'd be curious just to find that out. That's just good.
Mm-hmm. Yummy, yummy. Next we're trying Denny Morton's Columbus IPA. Man, is it killer aroma.
Switching over to the IPA.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll like this, Jay.
Oh, of course.
It smells awesome, buddy.
You could send me like the worst IPA you ever made. I'd still like it.
It smells like dank, though.
It does? Smells like cousin?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Like a floral cousin.
Smells like the hate?
Yeah.
Right, Dave?
I recognize it.
Yeah. You know what? It doesn't just smell like. It's not just cousin. It's real grassy. And I know I don't mean grass, but a real like a wet
hop.
Yeah, like a wet hop grassy flavor. You get that too?
Mm-hmm.
Which I like. I love that.
Very, very grassy.
It's like mowing a lawn of hops.
It's clean beer, malty.
Yeah, it does smell a little like some of the wet hop harvest beers.
Yeah. That's good. All right, there's a little something in there though. It could just be the bitterness, actually. John, you taste anything going on in this beer?
It's just the hops are so overwhelming.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
It's real. You know what? Yeah, that's not a bad thing at all, actually. I'm tasting, it's very flowery on the tongue. It's really like a bouquet, like really just flowers, not even just hops, but it kind of tastes like flowers back there, I think, which is nice.
Like flowers.
Yeah, it's gay, I know, but I can't help it. That's what it tastes like.
Mm-hmm.
It's real good. Did you try it, Daniela?
No, I haven't yet.
Here you go.
Yeah, take a sip of that.
John.
Anything wrong? Can you guys pick anything out in there that maybe he could have changed at all? Nothing, John?
I think it's a clean, malty, well-done beer.
Yeah. I wonder what hops he used. Did you get an ingredient thing out of him?
I tried looking at his recipe today, but it was so hard to read. I couldn't read it. But he uses a lot of Columbus hops. I know that.
Okay.
And I think he mashed about 154, 155, so because of that malt profile.
Yeah, there's a nice malt profile. It's almost a little too... It finishes with a little bit of sweetness that I maybe wouldn't expect in an IPA like this, in a big West Coast IPA.
I wonder if that's the flower thing I'm picking up, because it is it's not bitter at all. The aftertaste is not bitter. It's more of that sweet thing happening.
Do you get a spice going on? Like
there's a little spice. Yeah.
Was it ginger or not ginger, but
I do get something like that.
Yeah, there's a little bit there. It's good. I'm going to finish it.
Me too.
That's great.
Well, awesome beers.
Okay, I want to wrap up with just one more a brief discussion with you, Dave, and then we're going to get out of here. Let you get down to the celebrator party. A question came through about water profiles, and let me just plug again. sorry to do this, but your website's just so great because you even go into detail about the water that you use on your site, and you talk about the Hetch Hetchy water, which is what it's called in San Francisco there?
Yeah, Hetch Hetchy is the reservoir out near Yosemite that's somewhat controversial in that, San Francisco has commandeered a water supply out in the Sierras,
right,
and brings it across the valley,
right.
But it's very great water.
Yeah,
it's pristine Sierra Nevada mountain water.
Pretty hard.
It's medium hard.
Okay.
It's not really hard.
Okay.
When you think, if you're looking at it from the perspective of, like I was, especially starting out, of kind of English influenced beers.
Yeah.
You think of Burton and you think of how hard their water is, but that's ridiculously hard water.
Sure.
That blows everything else, literally, no pun intended, out of the water.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
The Hetch Hetchy is a nice base because it's got some hardness and mineral content to it. But, if you need to make a dry, British style bitter or IPA or something, you can definitely add your calcium sulfate or magnesium sulfate and try to Burtonize things a little bit.
Okay, now that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because the question was what you think about water profiles, and this is what you mentioned on your website, that for the most part you'll use the water as it is because it's fairly hard, but occasionally you'll do a style of beer where you need it to be harder. And by harder, what is it that we're saying? What makes the water harder than say normal?
Well, you're talking about mineral content.
Okay.
Different ions, different mineral ions, calcium, magnesium.
Okay. Which is why some of these beers from the Burton-on-Trent water, one of the flavors and the profiles you can actually describe is that it's very minerally.
Yeah.
On your palate, in your mouth, it's a minerally flavor.
Yeah, and occasionally you could even say salty, which sounds horrible, but not,
okay.
If it's just there in the background in the right amount, it's actually can be a pleasing effect.
Okay.
So yeah, salty wouldn't even be wouldn't be wrong to say that.
Okay.
But yeah, mineral hardness, what it really does best is really just give an extra snap or punch to the hops.
Okay.
So if you're making a very hoppy beer, or even just a balanced beer that you want to have a nice sharp hop profile,
then you'll harden it up.
And that's kind of where Burton excelled with the IPAs back in the 18th century.
And what do you do to harden it up?
I usually add calcium sulfate if I'm looking for the kind of mineral snap to my hops that I'm looking for.
Okay.
There are several. Calcium chloride is another mineral you can add.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to talk about water, what the water does to the taste of the beer. But in a nutshell, I feel like calcium chloride kind of adds more of a palate fullness or palate roundness.
Okay.
Whereas calcium sulfate is more of like a sharp snap, more of like it accentuates the dryness of the hops, the drying effect of hops in your mouth.
Okay.
So those are two that I play around with. Definitely more of the calcium sulfate because we're making hoppy beers a lot of the time, and
sure.
That's what we're going for, is something that accentuates that.
Are both of those available on homebrew level?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
definitely
do have those.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, that's a good thing to play around with then.
Just it's fun. It's fun to maybe just alter it one time on a beer that you know really well.
Yeah.
Because the effects are very, very subtle.
Okay.
You're not going to find something dramatic, so it should be something that you know well.
Okay.
To begin with, so that when you change it a little bit, you can identify what that was.
Right, otherwise you wouldn't know. Don't make it your first batch.
No.
Right.
For that one.
No.
Hey, CJ, you're on the air.
Hey.
What's happening, buddy?
Hey, I'm calling in for fucking Drunk of the Week.
Your use of the F word already puts you in high category of Drunk of the Week, CJ.
That should.
That's
you know what I mean? Hey, you know what I mean? I'm calling it for Drunk of the Week because I'm fucking wasted because I've been drinking since like noon.
All right.
Since the blues show.
Oh, nice.
I want to say I want to give a piece out to Bub.
Yeah.
With the curling sisters. He knows what I'm talking about there.
He does. You guys seen the women's curling team in the Olympics this year? You got a chance to look at that, Dave?
I haven't had a chance to watch the Olympics.
Sisters are fucking hot.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like with curling, it's not the sport that you're going to figure you're going to find the hotties in, right? You just don't put it that way. But the U.S. team, they're not bad. I looked at it.
They kick ass, dude.
They're not bad.
Those chicks, hey, I'd put them in my bed. They could eat some crackers in my bed. It's cool.
yeah, you don't care. You could spill some crumbs. It's all right.
Well, somebody posted a picture.
I kick them out of bed, then we'll fuck them on the floor.
Oh, kill this listener.
Oh, come on, Dan.
Bye. Good night.
Around.
Thanks for hanging. See you later.
I'm going to jail.
That's not right.
No, you're not right there.
Oh, come on.
Maybe you can come on and
you don't
us.
say that on the air when there's a girl in the room.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, you've been a bad boy all night long.
Uh-oh.
That's okay. Bad boy.
Don't let me show you my dip, too.
Oh, Doc.
Doc, what did you do?
Did you cut the dip tube?
Doc, what's up, buddy?
Doc's angry about this dip tube.
Is Doc back there or what? I thought he wasn't here tonight.
Cyber Doc today.
He's hanging out right here.
Don't make me come over there and bitch slap you.
He's pissed. You got to watch out. He's angry that you came on here talking about
it. I'm listening to you guys. It's great.
All right. You beat out Boob for the drunk of the week.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thanks.
Yeah, you got it. Just for coming on and being vulgar. I appreciate it. Daniela doesn't, but I don't care.
I'm sorry, Danielle. Hey.
No, I don't accept your apology now. It's over.
It's over between you two.
I'm getting slapped around. Cool. Hey, listen, you guys. Thanks a lot for everything. All right.
Bye.
See you later.
Thank you, CJ. We'll see you.
All right. Bye.
Cheers.
All right. All in good fun. CJ's a good guy. Hanging out in the Blue Show this morning. Everybody's welcome here, folks. I don't care what you have to say. I might hang up on you. Daniela might get pissed, but we don't censor. What are you going to do, right?
Until we have to censor.
With me. Yeah.
No, you don't say that. Come on.
Yeah, someday we have to, I suppose.
Oh.
All right, we're going to get out of here. And
we have another phone call. Let's get it. Just take it right now.
Caller, you're on the air. Well, I didn't even pick it up. Hang on, let's try here. Here we go. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey.
Hey, hey, it's my brother, huh?
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going real well. How are you, Buggy?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
All right, so my brother just started his homebrew career. How many batches in are you now?
Well, I just kegged my second, and I've got my third fermenting right now.
Look at you. Whoa. What are you, trying to outdo me or something?
I can't stop, man.
Do you love it?
I do love it. Yeah. And you know what happened? I actually, I kicked my first batch went through it, right, and started to kind of panic a little bit.
I know that feeling, yeah.
What's that?
I know that feeling, yeah.
Yeah. So, and my second one, which is on tap right now, just wasn't done fermenting yet. So.
Oh, really?
I went right out and bought some more ingredients and stuff to get another batch fermenting, so this wouldn't happen to me.
He's actually he's worse than me. Yeah. He's drinking the beer before it's done fermenting. Even at least I wait till it's done fermenting.
It's done fermenting.
That's great. So yeah, I brought Danielle and I got my brother a homebrew kit for Christmas, and just thought he'd like it. He's a chef also. Didn't know though. You never know. Some people get into it, some people don't. I think most people, if you like beer, you try homebrew and you're hooked. Mm-hmm. And I think my brother's another fine example of that happening.
That's great.
So what's your third batch? What'd you just brew?
ESB.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Nice. And your second batch was an IPA, right?
Yeah, that's what I have some questions about.
Okay.
First of all, it fermented for like 6 days.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely all right. Now, by fermented for 6 days, do you mean you actually could see activity for 6 days?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's real good. What else?
Well, the taste, it's real. It's not bad. It's I'm getting a lot of fruit in the beginning. It's definitely hoppy.
Okay.
There's a little bit of bitterness there. My problem is the finish, like that. The aftertaste is like that bitterness kicks in and takes over so much that it's almost harsh.
Yeah.
It's young.
The only way I know how to explain it, like what it tastes like, and I don't know if they say this in beer making or whatever, but it tastes almost like a wine that has sat on its lees for too long, sat on that dead yeast cells, but not in a good way.
Yeah, well, that in particular didn't happen with you because you took it out of the carboy pretty quick. I know that.
For 11 days total.
Yeah, 11. That's nothing. You're not going to get bad flavor sitting on a yeast bed for 11 days.
How long has it been kegged?
How long has it been in the keg?
Day and a half.
Yeah, there you go.
It's green. It's
young. John makes a great point about, and he tells me this all the time too.
Let it age for 3 to 4 weeks, man.
Yeah, age will change the flavor of that harsh bitterness too.
A lot of that harshness will fall out, especially when it's under carbonation. Everything will just settle out. Your malt profile will come out. It won't be as watery, as thin. You'll just have a more well-balanced beer. Give it 3 to 4 weeks.
Did you dry hop?
No, I didn't dry hop this time, but I'm going to dry hop the next one.
Yeah, you'll notice it even.
Fermenting now, I'm going to dry hop.
You might get even more, not the bitterness there, but you'll get even more of a green flavor there. Age does wonders, and it's one thing that I've gotten better at since the start of the show. I still make fun that I drink all my beers within a week. I've stretched it to 2 weeks now, I think. But it does change. It really changes everything. More so, I notice I'll go over to John's house and try one of his beers, and I'll go, oh, that's great. I'll come back 2 weeks later or a month later, and it's even better, and then it's perfect, and. So that's got a lot to do with it. The other thing, if you're getting a super bitter aftertaste, what was your bittering hop?
Shit, I have to look at. I think it was Cascade, right? It's the one you guys sent to me.
Oh, it's the IPA from B3.
IPA.
Okay, so Columbus.
Yeah. Yeah, Columbus. That's right.
Just that alone, I've done IPAs too, where you just you're right about it's too bitter. It's hard to enjoy the beer when the aftertaste just kills you. Yeah. So, that part of it is just that, and it will age out too. Maybe you could have upped the malt a little bit, but it was a kit, so what are you going to do, Right? You just throw all that shit in the pot and hope for the best.
Make beer.
Now, with your ESB, what kind of hops are you using there? Like how much, and what do you got?
Let's see. Let me get my book, actually, so I can tell you exactly.
Cool.
I think it's Ken Golding's in Northern Brewer.
I don't know. Did you order a kit or you made it yourself?
Actually, I'm following a recipe this time. Fuller. I know you keep telling me to stop reading, but it's out of Fuller's ESB.
Oh, it's a clone.
Okay, so it's a clone of Fuller's. That's what we tried today,
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that was our tasting of the week. You apparently didn't tune in for that.
I was at a. You need to have sympathy. I was at a baby shower.
Oh man. That was today, huh?
Yeah.
He invited...
Oh, yeah, he was wondering why you weren't... You know what he actually thought?
What?
Because he hasn't heard from you in a while.
Yeah.
And he called a couple times this week, and I was home, not at work, which was kind of unusual. Yeah. He thought that you were here. in town.
Like gonna surprise you at the baby shower?
I guess.
Yeah. I got an invite from my brother's having a kid. My dad sends me an invitation to go to the baby shower. Now, for one, they're on the other side of the country. They're in Connecticut, right? Two, it's a freaking baby shower. I'm going to fly out there to go to a baby shower?
It's gay.
It's gay.
No offense.
It's my own... Yeah, no. He's talking to his wife back there. No offense, sweetheart. But, I'm not flying out there for a baby shower. Yeah. Kids are nuts, huh? I was just talking about, what sucks about having a brother who's having the first kid? I'm going to have to hear all this crap. Like, they're going to call, oh, my God. Like my dad's going to call.
You're an uncle, man.
I'm an uncle. He's a first-time grandpa. Dad's going to call. He's going to be like, oh, you should see him. He's walking. Of course he's walking. He's a freaking biped. Like, what's people have a kid, and then before you know it, everything's special. You should hear him talk. Well, he's got a voice box, doesn't he? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Definitely.
All right. What's the hop thing you got for your ESB? Let's do this quick and get out of here.
All right. I used let's see, 1.25 ounces of Northern Brewer hops.
That's your bitter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bittering and flavoring. Actually, I used 1.25 ounces first, and then a half ounce for flavoring. So 1.25 ounces for bittering, half ounce for flavoring. Right. Half ounce of Challenger hops. And 1.5 ounces of East
Kent Golding.
Yeah, East Kent Golding hops, 1 ounce, and I'm gonna dry hop it with that hop as well. Dry hop.
What's your malt? How much extract are you putting in there?
6 pounds, and this is another question I had. It's the dried malt extract.
Yeah, that's okay.
A little stronger.
Yeah, it's more concentrated. Sure, you'll get a higher gravity.
20% stronger than a liquid.
Oh, it's 20%? That's the official number there?
Well, roughly, but...
Okay, so that's then the equivalent of 8 pounds of extract? Yeah. All right.
You know what I have a problem with, though, is when I'm adding it, the steam gets to it, and it just sticks and cakes up on everything, so I never end up adding... I'm probably losing a few ounces.
What's the rule here, John? DME, you should really only be adding if you need to up your gravity. Other than that, you should use extract, right?
Well, he's doing a clone version, so they recommend a dried malt extract.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, liquids is going to be easier to use. It's more it's made from a grain, a malt,
Yeah.
Dry malt is too, but they just rip everything out and just crystallize and get all the sugars out of it.
Yeah.
I would say definitely go with a liquid to be more traditional, more to homebrew.
Yeah.
This is my recommendation.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say your ESB is going to be damn hoppy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I would have used
I upped the hops a little bit just because I like to do that.
Because you're a Crosley, that's why.
Brother like brother, huh?
Yeah. We just can't resist. Like, they're sitting there and you got to do it.
You got to push the buttons, tell you.
I'm not going to leave it laying around,
Yeah, exactly. You're on the wrong coast, man. You don't do that.
Yeah, no kidding.
You don't do that out in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Yeah, no kidding.
They'll string you up for that. Well, let us know how it turns. Can you send us some or what?
Sure.
Yeah, send us some of that. I'd like to try this ESB. I'm thinking it's going to be like a hoppy pale ale. That's what my guess is right now. Yeah. And age out that IPA if you can. Is it gone yet or what?
Not yet.
Yeah, age it a little bit. Don't drink any more of it.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I know. John tells me the same thing all the time, and I just can't do it.
You just look at me like you're stupid.
Right.
All right. Hey, thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye, Buggy.
Right, we'll see you.
See you, Crossley.
Hey.
Weird. That's scary.
It's like talking to myself.
Are we having a Stump the Brewer this week?
No.
Next week?
Maybe.
I think everybody in here has to pee. If we're going to do Stump the Brewer, we're taking a break and then coming back. But we don't have anything to give away.
Here's a phone. Just take it.
They're going to do that pee thing to you again. You know that, don't you?
Dave, I want you to know you're welcome to go if you need to. You don't have to.
I might take you up on that.
Yeah, you can go pee. It's all right. Caller? You're on the air.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Travis.
Hi, Travis. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. What's happening?
Hey, when's the cider show?
You're an asshole. Jerk. The cider show is sometime in October, I think, is what we're looking at.
Hey, it's time to bottle cider now, damn it.
It is? Like from last year?
Yeah, 6 months in the fermenter usually.
Oh, that's what you got to do? You got to... See, I didn't realize that. You have to sit your cider around for 6 months, huh?
Yeah, 6 months. I'm kind of lazy. Mine usually goes about a year.
Okay. Here, I'm going to give you a real short version of the cider show. Hey, Lufa, after 6 months, go ahead and take it out of there.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
That's it. That's the whole cider show. No, we're waiting on the Two Rivers guy, because he's like the cider king out here, and he's the one we want to do it.
All right, Gucci was feeling abandoned because nobody's backing him up on the cider show.
He's just angry because he's been drinking whiskey all day.
We'll work on it.
And why in the hell are you working Danielle when she's sick?
Oh, thank you.
Hey, there's no holiday out here. What do you think, this is Europe? We got to work. You know?
I hate you.
Thanks, Travis.
All right, later, man.
See you, buddy. All right. Yeah, we don't even have anything to give away for Stump the Brewer this week, so let's not do it.
We had a really good question, though. But
we did?
Yeah, we can keep it for next week, I guess.
Yeah, save it for next week. Yeah. We're out of here. Who's on next week? El Toro?
El Toro Brewing
Awesome.
Yeah.
We tried theirs yesterday, too.
Yeah, that's right. El Toro Yo was the barley wine I had from them.
You mentioned that.
Nice.
Very nice.
I'm excited about them coming in. In fact, I've been drinking El Toro since I started drinking good beer, basically. They were some of my first.
And the week after that,
what do we got?
Alesmith, Peter Zien from San Diego.
Oh, very nice.
For an hour.
On the phone.
And the week after that.
Yeah? You don't know?
Yeah, you know.
I do? Oh, is that the Return of the King?
Yes!
The week after that's Dan Gordon coming back.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can I ask you one beer-related question before we get out of here? All of you guys?
All of us? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I don't know about you, but the other guys.
Yeah. Me too, I get to answer?
The guys who know something about beer.
Okay.
All right, so the question is, if you could give an example of a beer that has fruit flavors from the yeast. This listener is not quite sure what that is.
Example of a beer.
Can you help him with that? Because he doesn't know if his palates are just very bad, or if you could help him out with that.
Fruit flavors?
Mm-hmm.
From the yeast.
From the yeast.
Like a commercial example? So readily available?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to him, I guess.
Well, he probably wants to try it. So, yeah, commercial.
The Fuller's ESB that we tried.
Fruity.
That's sort of the classic fruity English style beer.
And that comes directly from the yeast?
And that's, some would argue it's a little bit of a marriage between some malt flavors and the yeast, but it's predominantly a yeasty. Some people call it an orange marmalade. I think Michael Jackson famously refers to it as an orange marmalade taste.
Okay. That's about as fruity as it gets there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then a Belgian triple, maybe like a Chimay, the white label Chimay.
Mm-hmm. That's a great commercial example there. You can get most places, the Chimay. And that is literally straight from the yeast.
Yeah, all the fruit you get there is yeast.
Yeah. German-style Hefeweizen. Go pick yourself up a good hef.
Banana.
You get that strong banana.
That's true.
Straight from the yeast. That does not come from malt or anything else. That's just a yeast byproduct there. Any true German-style Hefeweizen, all those fruity flavors and esters that you get are straight from the yeast. What's a good German hef, Daniela?
I like the Paulaner one a lot.
That
Erdinger one is good too.
You can get both of those here.
You can?
In the States. Well, certainly Paulaner. Erdinger, probably depends on where you are, but it's semi-popular.
Both of them are quite good. I haven't had them here in the States, I guess.
You've had the Paulaner, right?
Oh, have I?
The Paulaner,
yeah, the Paulaner is good. I would go for that one.
Obviously better in Germany, but Paulaner actually ships a little better. They definitely do the dark bottle. You know, all their bottles are brown, no green, nothing else. It seems to hold up a little better. Although if you buy their Helles, they just call it lager here. It's called Paulaner Lager, but that's their Helles. It's still good, but it's certainly not like it was when it left Germany.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now.
Age well.
Yeah. But that has nothing to do with fruity yeast. All right, let's get out of here, huh? Yeah. Dave, I really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out.
It was my pleasure. This was great. I loved it.
Well, I hope to have you back.
Sure.
But more importantly, I hope to see you down at your pub because I want to come drink some of those beers.
So do I.
Okay, very good.
I'll give you a tour.
Awesome.
Sweet, yeah.
Give me the short tour. I'm going to hit my head down there. At the
duck. Remember to duck a lot.
Yeah.
No. Should give out helmets.
That's what I'm just going to say.
Magnolia construction helmets. That'd be awesome.
You know what? That's a great gimmick just for your brew tours.
I might start doing that.
You have Magnolia helmets.
Have your bartenders wear them.
Right.
There you go.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Night.
Thanks.
Pale ale is a friend of mine, and I sure like good barley wine. Chocolate porter, cherry stout, don't you know what I am talking about? Don't you give me that American crude, boys, I want a real homebrew. Homebrew, don't you really love it? Homebrew, can't get enough of it. Homebrew, it blows my mind. I love homebrew all the time. Yeah, I think I have me, well, I have the one right now. Get down, double and triple on my best friend. I think I'll have them all over again. But don't you give me that American crude, boys, I want a real homebrew. Homebrew, don't you really love that